Hello and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us this fine Saturday morning for the Winner's Circle.
Yes, we are here as always on Saturday morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. Pacific here on the West Coast, 10 a.m. On the East Coast over there where Miss Anika is, and about 9 a.m. where Sammy is in the middle of the country. Hey, we represent every section of the country right now. So, as usual, as we do every Saturday, we're going to review Monday Night Raw on Netflix from Monday, and NXT from Tuesday, and Dynamite from Wednesday. Great each show. And then whichever show has the highest grade will be our winner for the Winner's Circle this week. Just real quick, I thought all three shows were solid this week, honestly. I really enjoyed all three. This is going to be a harder week for me to grade as far as picking, where to adjust each one's grades, because I'm not sure. At this moment in time, I'm not sure. I mean, I think NXT was my favorite show just because of a couple things that we'll get to, but at the same time, I don't know. They were all really good this week, I
thought. My week has been pretty preoccupied, so I've literally watched all the shows in the last 24 hours.
Yeah. I always watch them on Fridays. That way I'm as fresh as I possibly can be, hopefully, for Saturday morning when I try to remember stuff. I still can't remember anything, but at least it's better than if I had watched it on Monday. I really couldn't remember.
But even then, my mind isn't on wrestling. My mind's on other stuff.
Yeah.
So I found out that for the Drake diss track, that he had told Kendrick that somebody gave him a Grammy and to get his uncle, talk to the man of the house. And then lo and behold, in the last week, Kendrick won 5 Grammys and brought Uncle Sam to the Super Bowl.
That's funny.
That's what I'm saying. Like that halftime show, you gotta watch it like 2 or 3 times. You're gonna miss something.
Well, I hadn't heard the Drake diss because I'm not into Drake like that. But
some people not learn. Did you see that Hogan doubled down? He said, I couldn't understand anything that was said during the halftime show. Dude, you've already said you're a racist. You've already acknowledged that you're a Trump supporter. You plainly said, and now you're just going to double down after getting booed out of WWE, out of the arena. You're going to double down and say, I couldn't understand that. The implication being that he was a black dude rapping and you can't understand that. Like, really, dude, come fuck on. Like, I cannot believe I ever liked that guy. Like, I know that at times you don't know about shit, but like, I feel like I should have been smart enough, even at 8 years old. I should have been smart enough to fucking know that dude was a hunk of shit.
No. That the persona has been TMZ and social media has brought down many a persona in our day. So no, you should not feel bad for liking the persona of Hulk Hogan, not Terrence from Florida.
What was I going to say now?
Was there something else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was going to say something about Terrence. Shoot. I was going to say something about him stopping the wrestlers from unionizing, but I forget the point I was going to make with that now.
Sorry, my bad. Didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought there.
It's all good. If it was important, I would have remembered it.
All right, so to get to the task at hand, since it always takes us a long time to get through it anyhow, Mr. Sammy Joe, you want to lead us through Monday Night Raw from this week on Netflix?
Jey Uso came out.
Yeah.
Thunderous ovation. Nashville, Tennessee definitely likes them some Jey Uso. But you know who doesn't like Jey Uso? Gunther.
Yeah, Jey is so over. It's amazing how some people can just get over because of their personality and the charisma and the swag and the whatever. And he's got it all, right? I mean, people just love him. I mean, he's electric, and you can just feel it when he shows up. I mean, and it's one of those guys. It's one of those, who knows? Like you said, TMZ has ruined a lot of personas for a lot of people. I pray to God that the feelings that I have that he's a good guy and that it feels good to feel good for Jey Uso is real. Like, when you
I think he's a good guy. He just has an alcohol problem.
I'm happy for this dude.
Sure,
Like, you know, this is
sure.
a dude that's grinded and been around and had to pay, you know, not they all haven't, but I'm just saying in general, like, and he's finally getting his, you know, his own little piece of the pie, and it's good to see. So I'm happy for that. I love to see the
I'm
crowd love him.
never gonna forget that John Cena line. Has anyone told you you look just like your mugshots?
Hey, I feel at least he ran at least he ran it by them. I feel like he ran it by them before he did it. But no, this feels so good, and I don't think I've ever heard someone do one more time on a freaking theme song. But I'm like, what are they doing here? But I did like the shot of them doing it, and then you just see Jay fall it felt like he fell out of the sky. We're like, what the fuck happened? It's like, oh, this dirty crackhead, this emotional crack. Like, oh shoot. It was good and bad at the same time.
No, I thought this worked really well. I enjoyed Gunther attacking him. I mean, I thought this was a little bit different angle for Gunther. Normally, he's much more kind of like stoic and just wants to talk and doesn't really want to whatever. But here he's like, I'm tired of this, and you can just tell, like, okay, this is enough for me, and I'm ready to act and show that you know I am the world champion. So I liked it. I thought it came off well, and honestly, I mean, I'm kind of hyped for this match anyhow, but this hyped me up more for it. It did its job for sure.
And we had Jey Uso confirm that his opponent at WrestleMania will be Gunther.
Gunther.
Some people are talking about it might have been too early, but it's like, what are we prolonging this for? Even though I think it been a good story with him and Cody, it's Gunther. Like, so let's not drag that out of who we're going. Oh, who we going to choose? Who we going to face? We already know. So let's bing, it's you, and start writing this up. Lead up to Mania.
Who is the smallest? Is it Jay or is it Tama?
Size-wise?
Size?
Yeah.
I think they're all the same height, but I'm gonna say Jay. I'm trying to remember the time where Jay confronted the New Blood, and they're all together. I think there's. I really don't think it's like there we go. No one is towering over anybody. But if I had to guess, I think Jay is like maybe 2 inches or an inch higher than Tama.
Yeah, I think Tama's a little bit shorter. But I don't know that he's any smaller. I think he's a little bit more muscular and a little bit more than Jay. I mean, not to take anything away from Jay's physique, but I think he's a little bit heavier, a little bit more kind of swole than.
I believe Hikuleu is the tallest, followed by The Rock.
Rock taller than Roman?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Rock is like 6'5".
Roman's definitely taller than Solo or Jacob or the twins. Well, either set of twins, Jay or Jimmy or Tama and Tangaloa.
Roman's what, 6'2"?
But yeah, I mean, that probably.
I think sometimes wearing them boots make them look taller because I want to say it was one shot. We're like, hold on, wait. Y'all eye to eye. What's been going on? This camera angles.
Yeah, and you know, the reality is that me personally, I've only ever seen Roman Reigns on camera, right? And they do all sorts of stuff with cameras to make people look bigger and or smaller or whatever. You can do all sorts of stuff to make people look. And they definitely do. WWE wants Roman Reigns to look like a big presence. So they do that. I mean, the camera shots are from the ground up. They're all from, from lower angles where he looks like he's kind of back and up more, all the time. So, I mean, not all the time, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so, I
can tell you that Jon Moxley is taller than him, and I think Jon Moxley is 6'3". So I'm going to guess Roman is 6'2".
So since we have the wonderful world of the Google machine, instead of guessing, we can actually find out how tall Mr. Roman is. Assuming that the internet actually knows.
I mean, the internet also says that Adam Cole is 6 foot, so.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So, well, I mean, what does this say? It just says he's 6'3".
Who?
That don't sound right. Jon Moxley being 6'4". Oh.
My dad's 6'4". Like 6'4" is like average tall man height.
I'm just trying to think of when Jon Moxley comes to the ring. Do they say he's 6'4"? feel like they
Wikipedia
say he's
says John Moxley
6'3".
is 6'4". Wikipedia says
Okay.
he's 6'4". So
I don't remember them saying anything about how tall he is. But that's me not listening to the entrance. Like I don't remember how like 255. I thought they do that to the big dudes. Like when
And
it's
if I'm not mistaken, The Rock is 6'5".
oh, The Rock is definitely 6'5". But I feel like when they do entrances, the whole 6'5", 6'7", 285. I thought they do that to monster people. When it is like two big dudes going against each other, I think that's when they emphasize how tall and how big someone is.
right, yeah. Let's
Like,
see.
I remember Jim Cornette complaining about, I think it was Pac, of like when they said his weight coming out, and he's like, y'all can embellish that. You can say he weighs more. He looks like he'd weigh more, and people would believe it. Like when you say he only weighs this, and it's like, oh, he's actually kind of small, and it's
Yeah, I mean, there are times that WWE absolutely conflates size and weight, and both ways with the weight. They're either lighter or heavier than they actually are. Because I already know, like, I mean, I know how much I weigh. You know how much you weigh. You know what their body types are, and I mean, to be fair, everyone can weigh a little bit different, but the reality is that there's not that big a difference. Like, you can't tell me that Otis is only 300 pounds. I'm 300 pounds, and Otis has at least 50 pounds on me. There's no fucking way. And he's more muscular probably than I am, so my muscle weighs more than that. So you can't tell me he doesn't weigh more than I do. You know what I'm saying? So they definitely do that kind of stuff both ways. And I don't, maybe the Big
meanwhile,
Show at some point weighed 500 pounds, but my guess is he's closer to probably 420. So I think they embellished that always a little bit too. I mean, there were times he was bigger than others, but
uh, Jacob Fatu is about my height, I'd say, but like he's like 70 pounds on me.
yeah.
Side note, my dad used to be in a certain hotel where like most when the people come through our town, all the stars. So it was Running Night Raw or anybody that's coming to where we were at, and he's like, I just saw the Miz and Kofi. Like I can take the Miz a little fat to take him. Like daddy. He's like he ain't that big. Like he is not that big.
The town that I live at is pretty damn small. Like we don't have big shows like that running through here. I will say that Matthew McConaughey's car broke down outside of town one time, and he got a lift and got his car fixed up.
All right.
All right.
That's funny.
I will say that my brother-in-law has a story, but I believe it was from St. Louis, where he met APA,
Ooh.
and he gave him directions to the arena. They followed him to the arena, and Bradshaw called him Pencil Dick.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
Mm.
I mean, if like you listen, if I meet the APA in public and I'm like, hey, can you say something to me like the APA just for fun? That's fine. If I'm giving you a ride and I'm helping you out and he says, hey, thanks a lot, Pencil Dick, I'm gonna be really offended. Like
he told him hurry the F up, Pencil Dick.
All right then. Yeah. See, I might. You're probably should be joking it at the same time. Like, don't get in my car and be a douchebag. Like, what the fuck?
I imagine that might just be JBL's personality. Like from the stories that you hear about him backstage, that's probably the way he is with everybody.
Oh, okay. And like I said, I'm giving you a ride. Either you pay me money to call me these names, or you have a car.
Well, I mean, he didn't give him a ride. Yeah, he was leading them.
Showed him where it was, right?
Oh, then I must make sure you're lost.
I'm still helping you, and you're going to be a douchebag.
You're going. All right, go up the street to the gas station. Maybe they can help you find it. It's fine.
Although I guess it's kind of one of those things, right? You can always say, hey, JBL, talk shit to me. It's always like, I don't know. Who knows? Whatever. So this was a good opening segment. What was next, Sammy?
We had Damage Control versus Liv and Raquel.
Very solid. I enjoyed this a lot.
Wait, because we had a segment before that where it was Rhea, an interviewer was asking Rhea about the whole, Charlotte won, who she's gonna face. And she was like, this like, she was like, basically Charlotte is just dragging this along and she just needs to pick someone. And then Io came up and was like, I'm happy for you. I'm like, I'm happy for you, but you did come be my match. And it's just like, you can tell it's like, listen, I did in Rhea's face. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Like, it's still my bad. It's still my bad. All in her face. She didn't say none of this, but it's like, but you just tell her face, like, come on, bro. I'm trying not to show weakness, but I do feel bad, so shut up.
Yeah. No, I mean, we'll find out later who Charlotte actually picks. We'll talk about that, but yeah,
but this was great.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that Charlotte was going to pick Rhea at any point, but at the same time, like, no, I mean, I thought this was a solid promo, and obviously I like Io. I mean, Io speaks fine English, and I don't have a problem understanding her. At the same time, there is still a small little language barrier, right? She everything she wants to say, she's not 100% sure how to always get out. You can tell, like, and so it is what it is. But that's I'm sure that in Japan, she when she does it in her natural language, she's probably a much better promo. That's no offense to how she is now, because I like Io and I think she's fine. I'm just saying in general. I'm sure Japanese probably is a lot better.
Also, Liv Morgan's eye got busted open.
So let's go into the match. Like I said, this was actually a great match. I am not a Liv Raquel fan, but I can, when they put the work in, it's like, oh snap! All right, let's go. Yes, Liv got busted, but can we talk about the whole Tower of Doom / Code Breaker? I thought Io got hurt. I'm like, hold on, what? Like, because Io was holding her nose, she rolled out the way. I'm like, wait, hold up, and it's
that might have just been good selling.
No, it felt no. Like you can tell when it's good selling, and you can tell when shoot, and then cause like 4 or 5 times the rest went over to Io, like, bro, you go, like, just give me a minute, and then like when Liv got busted, we did like it in real life was like, hold up, now what happened to you? Like unlike Io, we saw what happened to you, and it looked really clunky as hell. With Liv, it's like, okay, bro, you really didn't do that much. It's like so. Looking at it and listening to the news, 2 things could have happened. Number 1, it could have been Io with that knee to the face, and that thing looked brutal. That's why you're my girl. Or when Raquel was using her as a battering ram, someone's clothes got caught on the side of Liv's face. Either way, I feel bad because you're hurt, but it makes the match better. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but it made it so much better.
Yeah. And honestly, I am not losing any sleep over Liv being hurt either way. I mean, Liv doesn't move the needle for me, unfortunately. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want anybody hurt, and I don't want anyone to have an issue with their career or anything like that, or have to miss any of that kind of stuff. I don't wish anybody any harm. At the same time, like, I'm not going to lose any sleep over Liv being off of my screen for a little bit either. She's been on my screen. She's been dominating the Raw screen for a while now, so I wouldn't mind a little break from Liv Morgan either. But that being said, it was a very solid match. I did love that spot with the Tower of Doom and then the whatever you want to call it. Io got her Codebreaker, got her knees up. I thought that was very good. It looked good. And these 4 women all have good chemistry. I mean, obviously Raquel, one of these things is not quite like the other. I mean, Liv doesn't even quite match up to Damage Control herself, but at least she's more on par. I mean, Raquel's not terrible, but she's definitely the weakest link in the ring of the 4 women. That being said, the chemistry was fine. I thought the match was really solid. I mean, I don't necessarily need to see Liv and Raquel anymore. I don't really care about either of them, and I don't really care about them as a tag team. That being said, the match was good. I mean,
yeah, but like it's crazy because I love Liv in NXT when she was big before Rhea. Raquel was Big Mommy. So I hate when they change someone's when it's over. When you change someone's character that's over in NXT to some smiling big bad girl. I'm like, look, that was not her character. But like, I think slowly but surely she's getting back to who she was. And I am happy for her. Shout out to what's her name? Dakota Kai, because this is her first match back from being injured. And it looks like you're ready to take on the division, whatever area you're in at. So yeah, great match.
Sammy, what was next?
We had Lyra Valkyria
Woo!
Yes.
Woo! Okay.
qualifying against Bailey.
No, she lost. She lost. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I'm saying that's for the match. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, Bailey won.
No.
Well, I thought we'd get to that.
Oh, okay. For the
No,
elimination chamber.
yeah, you said
right?
it.
This is qualified.
I'm like,
qualified for the women's elimination chamber,
thank
correct?
you.
Sorry.
The sentence.
My bad.
That's right.
I said it messed up.
You're fine. But no, this
So
was a
Lyra versus Bailey for a spot in the women's elimination chamber. And yeah, I mean, go ahead, Nikki. You were about to say something. I'll be right back.
No, like this is why you need stakes, and this is why tournaments are so good, because it really is simple yet effective. We're fighting. Why are we fighting? To get a spot, to go to the next round, to win a final boss thing. Like in any capacity, and it gives everyone something to do, even though. Lyra being the women's IC champ, let's call a spade. Y'all didn't need a women's IC title. For some reason, y'all still want to keep up this notion that there's a brand split. And come on. Especially even though she won it a couple of months ago, it was close enough to WrestleMania season where it's like, you don't need a brand split. Like, honestly, if you would just pay Chelsea Green some traveling money and just let her go back to each show and just be the women's United States Championship. That's all you didn't need 2 women mid-card titles. And I say that to say, because since Lyra's won the title, they haven't really done anything besides Ivy now challenging for it. And Ivy's cool, but that's not really going to rev up this new title. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I am glad that they gave her this match. You should not be beating Bailey, but it shows like, when in doubt, you can wrestle it out. I'm gonna wrestle my way through until I get over.
Yeah, like at the very least, like make the one and then see if you need a second. Like let the first one breathe.
Like,
Because as it stands now, like you got 4 women's singles titles, and it's kind of confusing as to where the split is for mid card and main event.
Like not confusing. Look, listen. The United States and IC title are definitely mid. They're definitely mid, and you have enough girls.
No. I'm talking about the wrestlers. Like, there's some women who like were getting main title shots. That's like, well, you ain't getting those no more because this title exists now.
Yes and no. I think more so the tag team championships, the women's. I think maybe that's a little more confusing than the other 2.
Well, those are tag teams.
We're calling them tag teams, but as of right now, it's only maybe 3 legit women tag teams, and everyone's just coming together to try to get it. Everyone like you have Bianca and Naomi, Liv and Raquel, and you have Shakara and Lash Legend. Okay, I'll give you Piper and Chelsea, but you can easily.
I get what you're saying. You're saying right now. I was thinking like in the history of the titles existing, only 3 of the people have ever been legitimate. I was just like, dang, that's a lot of shade at a lot of women.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying. You're saying right now, there's only 3 solid teams.
They're actually tag teams. Yeah. Everyone else is coming together to say, "Hey, we're 2 girls who don't have anything to do. Let's go against it. Let's go for the tag titles." It literally.
And I would say a couple of the teams that you even mentioned are that way, right? I mean, Jade and Bianca were that way to begin with, and now Jade's out, so Naomi just kind of stepped in and took her place. I mean, to be fair, they have great chemistry and work well together, but it's not like they're a natural tag team. I mean, it's not like they've been a tag team for years and they were, whatever the case may be. I mean, they're 2 singles wrestlers that came together, and Naomi's only there to fill Jade's injured spot. So I mean. There, you can say that about them too. I mean, Piper and Chelsea have been a tag team for a long time now, so they're a little bit more established. I mean, I guess you could talk about Damage Control, whichever two you're talking about.
Damage
I mean, they're
Damage Control is the best aside from Dakota Kai. The problem
yes,
is the other two members are injured because
right,
like Io and Kyrie, Sky Pirates,
right,
like tag team for years.
yep,
Asuka and Kyrie, Kabuki Warriors, tag
yep.
team for years. And then you got Io and Asuka, Triple Tails. They were in a trios group literally like 15 years ago. That's how long that dates back.
And
You
Yes.
give
just you have Dakota that's in and Kyrie and Asuka who are out because of injury, and it's like,
and
I
get
mean,
well,
you know,
Oscar. We miss you.
I mean,
I miss my Empress. Okay, go.
I'm not necessarily happy when anyone gets released because it's their job and whatever, you know. So Isla Dawn being released was not, you know, something that it is what it is. At the same time, you know, the Spooky Witch Unholy Union was one of the really only tag teams that you actually had, and you let one of them go. So I'm not sure what your plan is to do with Alba Fire. But yeah, no, I mean the tag team division, most of them are just thrown together. I would say there isn't really a real, other than when they're healthy, really, like we were talking about Damage Control, that's an actual natural, like, this is a tag team and has been for a long time. I mean, so
Yeah, but yeah, this was good, and I am glad that EO got the win because who's Rhea is facing. Even without, like, even before we knew who chose, we still got one up in the air. And I, like I said, I was with AOW. I was leaning towards Rhea being up in the air. The Elimination Chamber is who's going to face her. But
yeah.
I was really hoping it was EO versus Rhea at the um at WrestleMania. Cause like that would be so freaking good. Like, ugh.
You know,
and it's also a throwback to the NXT days of like them in a triple threat with Charlotte, or them
Charlotte.
in a triple threat with Bianca, or whatever they did.
It was a triple threat between Charlotte, and that's when EO one beat pinning Rhea, not Charlotte. But we're not going to go there anymore.
you know, I, it's tough to say. Like, you know, obviously your career as a professional wrestler, you know, generally is not necessarily super long, right? I mean, if you're a good wrestler and you have a solid career, you probably wrestle till you're somewhere between 40 and 50, right? I mean, that seems to be, if you're lucky, you make it that long, right? And if you're lucky, you make it to the big stage and all those things. You know, and
Uh,
I'm not here for cutting people's, go ahead, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, Shinsuke said it himself. Like 45 is the age to retire because after 45, like you kind of just go downhill from there.
So
Like
there you
if
go.
you
So,
retire at 45, you're basically retiring in a semi prime.
right. So, you know, the reality is that, and I'm not here for, you know, cutting anyone's career short. I'm not here for saying you've had too much success. I'm not really here for any of that. At the same time, when you have such a small group of people existing at one level, i.e., the main event level around your world titles, because out of your 50 women or 50 men, you only feel 5 to 7, maybe 10 at most, really are main event talent and belong competing for that title, other than the rare opportunity in a rumble or something like that, you know, money in the bank. Even though we know a lot of those bodies are not going to win, they still get a full opportunity. But the problem is that then you get so much recycling, and I love Io to death, but we've been here and done that. She's been champion. I don't necessarily, and her and Rhea would be fun, but I don't know. I feel like with all these people, we've been there and done that. It's the same feeling I'm starting to have at times when I watch AEW too. It's like you've got all the best wrestlers on the planet, but at the same time, a lot of these best wrestlers are well past what I would call are in the middle of their prime or over their prime. And I've seen them all. Like, I love John Moxley, but the idea that in 2025, John Moxley and Adam Copeland are your main event in AEW, it's like, it feels a little 2015, 2012, and we're in 2025 now. And I'm not saying that I want Moxley to go away. I wouldn't mind Copeland going away. I'm not saying I want Moxley to go away or any of that stuff. I'm just saying, like, it's that same feeling of just too much recycled. You've been here, we've done that, we've seen this. And even with Rhea now, and she's still young, but we've another time, like, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, the idea of people winning, and I get it, you know, over a 20-year career, you're going to be around the main event, you're probably going to win the title 15, 16 times. At the same time, that's a lot. I mean, that's, to me, that seems too overdone, or even 10, or even 7. I mean, I don't know. I mean, at some point, without hot potatoing, it feels like you've got to start moving the younger generation along more
Now-
too. I don't know. I don't know.
Now
Maybe
listen,
that's just-
We'll cross the AEW bridge when we get to it. But let's be very, very clear. John was trying to push Darby. Darby wanted to climb a freaking mountain. That's why he's not the champion. We chose Darby as the new up and coming thing. He said, "I want to climb Mount Everest and almost die." So that's on him. That's not on John. Now why you not using Jay White? I don't know. Don't let the beard fool you. He is young, even though he looks 50. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mox is in his prime. He's still under 40. He's younger than Orange Cassidy. Like, we've seen him on TV for what seems like 15 years now, but like.
But the thing about it is, like, even though in age people are older than others, when it comes to wrestling, it's more about exposure. So even though, yes, John is older than OC is older than John, OC is new into us being on camera. So the people who haven't been on camera in a minute, yes, give them time to shine. With the women's division, with any division, it's more so about pushing people. And for WWE, I'm trying to look at the women's landscape and people who haven't. There's not that many people who I think have the potential to be in the main event. So
You're right. And I think that's an indictment of WWE's roster to a certain extent, is that a lot of the women, especially the women, feel very mid-card. There aren't a whole lot that feel at the top of the pile, and the ones that do have already been there and have been doing it. So
Another thing is that women wrestlers usually retire earlier than the men's wrestlers do. Like,
so that notion is, I'm not going to say sexist, but a sexist environment where it's more so when they retire, it was, I want to get married and have a family. And not sure if anyone told them this but I feel like the notion is after you have a baby, you can't wrestle anymore. And thankfully, Asuka and Becky dispelled that notion. Like, oh, okay, I didn't have to stop. That's the beauty thing about the Royal Rumble, the women having the Royal Rumble. Like, you saw, like, oh, these girls can still go, but someone probably told them, oh, after you have a baby or after you have a family, you can't do it anymore. And it's like, no, you probably could have still done it. You probably could have came back and done more. So thankfully, that notion is being shut down.
The other part of that is that, you know, in society, men and women are aged differently as they view, right? Men become silver foxes and women become old hags, right? I mean, and wrestling is aesthetic, don't get me wrong, but like the women are held to a different aesthetic than men. I mean, men as they age, it is what it is, and women, you know, over 35, over 40, you're not sexually appealing anymore. You're not, you know what I'm saying? So that's and that's a big part of it, especially from the WWE perspective.
More so WWE perspective, but
I mean, back in the day, it was very different though. Like, I'm trying to think of her name. Moolah. Like, Moolah wrestled well into her later years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
absolutely.
some people,
a lot of that was. Go ahead.
You go first.
I was just saying, a lot of that is style too, right? I mean, you know, I mean, back in the day they wrestled, but it wasn't. I mean, if you watch 60 minutes, I think it was 60 minutes at Wrestle Kingdom between Omega and Ospreay, and then you watch Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, or you even watch earlier than that go an hour, it's a different situation, right? They're not
Yeah.
at third or fourth gear the whole time. A lot of times they were in first gear for a bulk of the whole match. And Moolah's history was a lot of that way, coming up in the 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s, all that time. So it's not like she was out there doing fifth gear for 30 years either. You know what I mean? So that enabled her, and it's also helped Ric Flair, to be fair, to be able to work into his later years too. I mean, not that he hasn't taken a lot of bumps, but I'm just saying, that earlier match style where you worked a little slower, more rest holds, not so high octane, not so much high flying, less bumps, more, like I said, rest holds and those kind of things, that you could prolong your career a little bit longer and get more. So, I mean, that's part of why Moolah lasted around a lot longer. But yeah, I mean, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I don't know if you've seen pictures of Moolah. She was very attractive in her younger days. Now, to be fair, she was by the time she was there doing it in her older years, she was basically the only woman still doing it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
she was the only woman doing it essentially for the longest time. Not the only woman, but the only woman that was getting any kind of spotlight or notoriety doing it, right, for any period of time. I mean, up until Alondra Blaze and Wendy Richter, I'd never heard of any other female wrestler other than Moolah. So, I mean, she was kind of in a league of her own. So,
I would like to give Trish a shout out coming back and like still performing quite well.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of the things where, she left because I want to say her mother had cancer and she had to help her mother. So that's the reason like she kind of retired, which is unfortunate. And again, I want to know these conversations when they leave, right? It's like, let that have it. Like you could have came back. I don't know. I feel like it was a different manager, a different person who was ahead of WWE. It would have been a different conversation of, baby, take your time, all the time you need. Once you come back, you're Trish Stratus. There'll be a seat at the table for you, But I don't think they had conversations back then.
Well, no, and we always know Vince was more, entertainment than athlete anyhow, right? I mean, he wanted you to look a certain way and be able to act a certain way much more than he cared about what your athletic ability was in the ring. So that's why we had a bunch of people that we did. So, and a bunch of,
like I'm less worried about Trish getting hurt than I am about like a Dakota Kai getting hurt, because like her knees are being held by like a thread and bubble gum and duct tape.
Yeah. Well, again, that's moveset too. Like Trish, I don't see Trish going in a circle in the ring and basically hula kicking a girl in the face or doing backbreakers or anything like that. Still decent, but the moveset wise, Dakota does some things that Trish will probably never.
Yeah, and that's a lot of that is just due to the elevation of wrestling, right? I mean, it's come so far in 40 years or whatever, even just since Trish to now. But yeah, just in general, I mean, in my lifetime, watching it evolve from the first WrestleMania to what it is now, I mean, that it's not even the same. In many respects, it's not even the same thing. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like the in-ring ability. And I'm not saying that those guys back then didn't have it. It just wasn't done that way, right? I mean, I'm sure you had plenty of guys back then that could have been the Will Ospreys. They just didn't. That's not how matches were run at the time. That's not how they did stuff. So, yeah. No.
Definitely gives the wrestlers a shorter shelf life than it used to.
100%. 100%. All right, what was next?
Oh, what was next?
Back to what we were actually doing.
I remember being surprised when I found out Dakota Kai's age. She looks younger than she is.
Uh-huh. What is it?
I had that Roxanne Perez was ringside during the match.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, you want to say something about Roxanne?
I was just say Raw needs more women, and Roxanne would help the roster. At the same time, NXT's women's division is going so good right now. I don't necessarily want to pull her away from that. I like her involvement in it, and I like dealing with Julia and Stephanie and all that stuff and everybody. So I'm not sure I want to, but God, they could sure use Roxanne on the Raw roster.
Like that's why I'm like the whole brand split. I wouldn't be mad if y'all got rid of it. Right now we're doing the portal, and so now I'm gonna put the cart before the horse. Let's just stay with the portal as long as we can. Let's stay with the portal as long as we can until someone says, "Nah, we definitively want to do a brand split again."
which would have helped with the mid card title if it was shared between both of the brands. That you get these mid card women getting TV time on both shows, going after this one title.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously they do the brand split because you have the issue when you have, or a show split, or at the end, this concept of a roster for one show and a roster for the other show. You end up getting people that are just on every show, and other people don't get any time. So there's got to
That's
be a balancing act. I mean, that's
yeah,
why they do it in the first place, right? So that's why you give certain guys or certain people on certain shows, because you want to give them time that wouldn't be getting on the other show. At the same time, like, it definitely doesn't work, the brand split, especially because you don't really work it and don't care about it. I mean, if you did it, it would, but I mean, you don't. So you just, it makes no sense to keep doing it. And
yeah,
at the same time, you definitely want to have room for everybody. I mean, you don't need the same person dominating 2 hours on Raw, 2 hours on SmackDown, and an hour on NXT, right? So
yeah. That was
that's too
definitely an
much.
issue. Like when you had Roman and Charlotte on both shows, but then you had other people who hadn't been on TV in 8 months. It's like, what are we doing
Yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah. Agreed.
Um,
All right.
Backstage, Ludwig Kaiser approached Pete Dunne, told him to
Yep.
stay out of his way,
Mm-hmm.
and then AJ Styles rushed by, and we could be getting AJ Styles versus Ludwig Kaiser, which
I'm I'm just glad that AJ's back. I'm not.
Yes.
I am very interested in this whole. Let's see if they tag up Ludwig and Pete Dunne because they both need something, and I wouldn't, sir. I know you don't like Ludwig Kaiser, but on the mic he is more aesthetically pleasing than Pete Dunne. So just like, and then just just a matter of getting them both over because like I know Ludwig has gone against Braun too many times, so he can't go out to that well. And Pete, just like I said, he needs something. So just to give them something to get them back where they used to be. Yes, let's put them together. They don't really even need what you call it, a name or like, oh, we're the no. We're just two people who are using each other. We both know we're using each other, and it's there you go, a business agreement. That's all I need. That's all I need. That's all I need. We have an understanding of what we are to each other, and when we get to where we
So,
need to go, we'll break up.
so here's my feeling about that. I just Pete Dunne and Ludwig Kaiser. So I always hoped that Pete Dunne was destined for a main event spot. As long as he's in a program with Ludwig Kaiser, it tells me WWE does not see him that way because Kaiser will always be a mid card guy. And that's obviously where you see Pete Dunne. And that's disappointing to me. So let me just say that first. Secondly,
I,
Kaiser was okay when he was Gunther's henchman and when they had Imperium, even when it was just kind of the two of them after Vinci left, or got fired or whatever it was. Well, left first, they demoted him, tried to repackage him, and then ultimately fired him. But and now the separation, there's nothing that does anything for me for Kaiser now that he's not with Gunther anymore. At least with Gunther, it made some sense. But now as a singles wrestler, he does absolutely nothing for me. And knowing that Pete Dunne's going to be stuck in the Kaiser vortex just tells me what WWE thinks about Pete Dunne, which is unfortunate. And them tagging together really does nothing for me. It makes me feel bad for Pete Dunne. That being said, AJ Styles walking by. Happy to see AJ Styles on Raw. I hope he's able to actually churn out some decent matches and stay healthy for a while and kind of regain some of that main eventer position. Him versus Kaiser, that's extremely boring to me. Like AJ Styles beats Kaiser 12 out of 10 times. I mean, they're not even in the same, I mean, they don't even play the same game. You don't go here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's these things are not the same. So, I understand AJ's got to have warm up matches. I get it. But him versus Kaiser does nothing for me. So, and I feel bad
I
for Pete
think
Dunne. I feel like he's stuck in the Kaiser vortex.
I think
I
Pete
feel like
Dunne
Kaiser's
is
becoming a
fine in a
character.
mid-card role.
Even though we
Kaiser's
want
fine
more.
in a mid-card role? Yeah, no, I think he's fine in a mid-card role.
But yeah, I definitely want to explore more of him and R-Truth and him and Kaiser.
This is true. And again, I'm just glad AJ's back. Next.
AJ Styles had a promo where he said he's got a long to-do list. He's got a lot more to offer professional wrestling. So him retiring and working backstage is still a bit far off in the future for him, which must make Nika happy that AJ Styles will be wrestling until he's 50.
I don't need to wrestle till you're 50, but with AJ Styles, he is.
That's literally like a year.
He's 49.
He's like 48, 47, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay. Like it's again, that's why the age doesn't. But no, that's why the age doesn't bother me because if you can still go, you like there's no offense in the ring. There is a huge difference between AJ having a 20-minute match and Adam Copeland having a 20-minute match. And there's not that much of a age difference. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 year difference, but you can
Yeah.
like AJ is still phenomenal. It to not have another word. So if he wants to do 5 more years, yes, I'm all for it. And then more so for me with AJ. Hindsight's 2020. If I look back, I'm probably gonna say, okay, AJ had a better career in WWE than I thought. But as of right now, I do think I want him. I think he deserves one more good run. Like not like I don't need him to win the title, but I want him to have one good Sheamus versus Gunther rivalry, whoever that person is. You know what I'm saying? Like that one good rivalry, or that one last Sting retirement year, because he is that good. And y'all already
he
know.
needs to get his own John Cena tour,
Uh,
which I believe John Cena is younger than him.
AJ's
maybe,
47. I don't know how old John Cena is. I know AJ's 47.
but more so, like not
They're
John.
about the same age, but I think John Cena is a little younger.
I would probably say more towards Terry Funk and Sting because John Cena's retirement tour is more of an attraction. With AJ Styles, it's really more about wrestling. Who more like if and whenever AJ announces his retirement year, I got some people lined up. I know who I want him to face before he leaves. Most are in AEW, but I have a list of who I want AJ Styles to
Yeah.
face before he retires.
I'm sorry, but like him having an AEW tour is not going to happen.
You keep saying that, but again, he got people over there. Like
I don't think WWE wants him to do a tour in AEW before he retires and comes back to work for them.
Listen. Okay, maybe not in AEW. Maybe they do. Maybe you know you do a quick trip across the pond to Japan, and you go into a hole in the wall. But no, I firmly believe that his last
I definitely see them allowing him to do a TNA tour.
maybe, but I full on believe that AJ Styles is a wrestler. So his last wrestling match, unless they can get unless they can get somebody to come over to WWE, his last match is not going to be in WWE. That I firmly believe that.
I mean, I could definitely see, I could see him retiring from WWE and then doing another match somewhere down the road when it's with someone that he deems like, oh, this is something that I absolutely want to do. I tend to agree with Sammy. I think that at this point, I mean, I have no idea what his contract looks like, but I probably venture to guess that at this point he's not going to AEW, which is unfortunate because I really hoped that at one point that he would have. And honestly, I think, selfishly, that's what I wanted. And I think, it probably would have been better if he had gone to AEW. I could see him getting similar treatment to Bryan Danielson, which would have been very nice.
Well,
and I think he deserves that.
I mean, that's the treatment he's going to have for WWE. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not
No,
sure about
no,
that.
no,
So here's the
no.
thing.
he's
Here's the
going to
thing about
stop
WWN.
wrestling and he's going to be working backstage.
No, but not the back. We're not talking about
No,
backstage.
I'm not
We're
talking about that.
talking about that
I'm
last
talking
little
about
Oh.
run.
I'm talking about his final matches. I'm talking about the year of matches Danielson
Yeah.
had. I'm talking about the run with the
Oh.
title. I'm talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about getting what really feels like a legitimate last little run of one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Oh, I think
You
he
know,
will have that, but it's going to be by going to TNA, which WWE is going to allow him to do.
But no, okay.
yeah, I mean, the problem is there isn't anybody in TNA I want to see him wrestle.
Yep.
No, wait. I
Joe
said
Hendry?
that. I stopped myself. Where's Big Bob by Bailey at right now?
He's about to sign. He just signed with AEW, actually.
Dang it! That was the only one. That was the only one. A Mike Bailey versus AJ Styles match. Ah, that would be delicious.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a couple people there that, after the matches happen, or if they, I don't know off the top of my head every single person on the TNA roster, but, there's probably a couple people there that if I sat down with the roster, I thought, oh, that would be a good match. But at the same time, like, there's nobody off the top of my head that I can think of that I'm very interested in, So all
I
of
mean,
them
I'll take
basically
Joe
are,
Hendry. I'll take Moose.
Joe
I'll
Hendry's
take
fine.
Matt Cardona. Like,
Yeah.
Sister.
Neither of those two.
No.
Moose and Matt Cardona do nothing for me. Joe
No.
Hendry, that would be fine. But especially if you're trying to honor him with a retirement, tour like that's. Here's the thing about AJ Styles. Like AJ Styles, for me in WWE especially, he's gotten opportunities and he's held the title and those kind of things. I don't think he's been. I wouldn't say that he's been overlooked, but I would say he's been underbooked to a certain extent. I think he's still better than they ever booked him, and I think he's always suffered in WWE from being what Vince thought was too small. I just believe that. I know that he got his opportunities. He's been a world champion and all those things, but I still think he had so much more potential. And I think in WWE that he could have done, but that I think he was held back because of his size and the way that he was booked. And I think that they weren't totally sure. Vince never felt totally sure that he was the kind of guy that could actually carry the company or wanted to carry the company. So, as a result, I think we've always gotten, AJ Styles. We've gotten AJ Styles and it's been great, but it's never been the AJ that I wanted from Ring of Honor or, those, that uber talent. It always felt like he was on a leash for me in WWE.
yeah.
That's just kind of how it felt. So
I feel like Braun Breaker is going to have a similar situation where, like, he could be the world champion, but he's not going to be a world champion often, and he'll never be looked at as being the guy simply because he's not that big. He's a freak athlete. He can do amazing things, just like AJ Styles can, in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I still wouldn't necessarily equate if I was running a company for me and I'm trying to, and I'm looking at is AJ going to be my face or is Braun going to be my face? To me, it doesn't seem like much of a choice there. AJ seems like the far away easy. He's a better talker. He's got more charisma, in my opinion. He's a better wrestler. That being said, that doesn't take anything away from Braun Breaker. I think Braun Breaker is solid. I just think AJ is a special talent. I think he's a generational type talent that unfortunately
Also,
due to injuries
got to remember, Braun Breaker's like 20 years younger. Braun Breaker could get there.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. No, and he's got the pedigree, and he's got the tools. He just needs to continue doing what he's doing. But you're right. I mean, I think he's always going to suffer to a certain extent. And then you even have guys that are bigger that have the size that still suffer. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sheamus has won a lot of titles, but he's always been. He's going to win a couple, but then he's going to have big gaps in between, and all those things. He's the Braun Breaker, just bigger, right? I mean, if Braun was his size, he might have Sheamus's career. We'll see what it looks like, right? But even Sheamus could have had and done more, and that's not got nothing to do with size. That's just one of those things. Who knows what that is? I don't know. But
I think it's because he's not tan.
I mean, maybe it said he's not tan enough. Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of tan enough, this is just a very terrible digression, but I was watching very, very old episodes of BTE because I hadn't seen like the first few. And there was one scene where Matt Jackson is spraying himself with a spray tan, and he's making a joke, and it's awesome, dude. He's like, I love being as orange as I possibly can. I love it's great. Like, it's perfect for wrestling. Like, just to be way over the top. I go through like a can and a half before each show. It's like,
as long as you realize you have a problem. As long as you realize you have a problem, hey, do your thing. Go ahead. What am I going to say?
For the longest time, like, I thought that people were doing it because they just, I want to, but he made it a point that he was doing it to be over the top. He knows I'm way too orange. It's a big joke type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in the past, like, maybe there's other guys that it wasn't, but, maybe it was too. I don't know. But I always thought it was just, I just like being tan. That's what I want to do. But maybe other guys were doing it as a joke too type of situation. But I thought that was hysterical. So, terrible digression. So, back to what we were talking about. I forget even what we were talking about as far as Raw goes. What's next?
I just added the promo. Dominic and Carlito comes out and taunts him, talking about, things have changed. And AJ was like, yeah, things have changed. Where's Damien? Where's Rhea? He said Finn too, but Finn, like, they're still together, but let's see how long that lasts. And then, a brawl ensues, and AJ stays on top. I don't need AJ in the vortex of Judgment Day.
No, but Finn and AJ? Can we do Finn and AJ all day long? Like, that one's one that moves. Finn Balor's a lot like AJ Styles. He's similar to that, too. Like, he can have titles here and there. But
both former leaders of Bullet Club.
Never going to be the guy that they're going to put the belt or that they're going to put the company on his back. He's too small, all those kind of things. Like,
but here's the thing. Like, so they kind of try to do this with AJ OC with Judgment Day. If we're going to do this again, I need y'all to commit to it. When I say commit to it, there's so much history here that y'all just don't want to freaking tap into. More so,
I mean, they could bring him back, but they did just let the Good Brothers go, didn't they?
They did, but I don't even need the Good Brothers. I just need, if we're going to do a rivalry or a build up between AJ and Finn, I need y'all to tap into all of that good, rich history that y'all have not done yet. Like, y'all was playing with me with it just for a little bit, and I don't need to be played with. I need you to actually do the thing. Heck, say New Japan. You're not competing against New Japan. New Japan got nothing on you. Say New Japan, God, got it.
All of the leaders of Bullet Club would be booked this way in WWE. If Kenny Omega goes there, he'll be treated that way. If Jay White goes there, he'll be treated that way. The one person who I think may get a slightly bigger push would be who I think is the worst leader of Bullet Club, David Finlay.
Yeah.
And you think that just because of his pedigree and who his dad was? Because he's not big either. I mean, it's not like he's
slightly bigger than them.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's mostly because of the pedigree. Yeah.
Because he's got less charisma and less ability than those guys. So, I mean, it's, I mean, I like David Finlay, and I think he's solid, but he's not those guys. So Finn took over the Judgment Day and pushed Edge out. And I'm not saying I want to see this at all, but if you want to get to an AJ Finn feud, is there any world where AJ pushes Finn out and takes over Judgment Day somehow?
Yeah. Say it again. The last.
I was just saying
words.
AJ taking over Judgment Day, pushing Finn out and taking over Judgment Day.
No.
Maybe recreating it with some different people somehow,
No.
And that's a way to get to a feud between AJ and Finn?
It's already been recreated.
That's true. This is true.
No.
Like, all the original members are gone.
This is true.
Like, honestly, this should be a pit stop because there's some other things. So I started to go over about. I'll go back to the next segment. AJ's. I'm not sure if it was exactly right after, but AJ goes to Nick Aldis. No, sorry, Adam Pearce, and he's like, "I want this match between him versus Dom." And he's like, and Adam Pearce is like, "Don't know why, but if you really want it, then he smacks right into Braun Breaker, and it's just like, yes. Listen, AJ's the main eventer. but Braun Breaker with his IC title is big enough where this would be a good match. And I just need y'all to do them. Like it's a couple of face-offs between. Like you have Braun Breaker versus Penta face-off. You have Braun Breaker versus AJ. I just need y'all to do them. And then talking about like I said, AJ. Yeah, I just need a pissed out between Jeff and Day because I want AJ versus Penta. I got a lot of other matches between AJ in the Jeff and Day vortex. So yeah, just get the vortex over with and give me AJ versus Penta, AJ versus Braun Breaker.
Yep, I'm not opposed to either of those. I mean, the thing is that they tease matches and you say let's do them, and then sometimes they do them and we complain about they did them too soon, or they did them the wrong. Right now, I don't want AJ to lose to either Penta or Braun Breaker, but I also don't want Braun or Penta to lose to AJ. So I don't. If at this point I'm not comfortable with either losing, then they shouldn't be doing the match quite yet, right? So maybe you need to hold off a little bit more until it feels more like it's the right time for one of them to get a win over the other.
But this is why programs are good, because you do 3 matches, and one person leads one, and then you do the rubber match. So now I don't think you should do those 2 back to back. But yeah, let's start off with one of these as a program, and then SummerSlam we'll do the other one. But yeah, this is why you can't just do one-offs. Programs and rivalries makes a whole story, and everybody feels better and looks better coming out of it.
Another thing is that like WWE's weird about their timing. Like I remember for 1 week it was supposed to be Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio, and the match never happened because one of them got beat up before the match started. And it's like, oh, what a shame. It would have been good to see those two. And then like a year later, Seth becomes a heel and they run the match literally into the ground by doing it so much and having an eye for an eye match and everything else. And it's like, can we stop this? Like in just a year ago, it's like, how have we never had Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins? And it's like, we're having Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins again.
I mean, they often miss the bus, and then when they get to it, they beat a dead horse, right? They do it over and over and over and over and over and far too long, right? So, yeah, I mean, WWE's been guilty of that for a long time.
Like, I'm getting that way with Pete Dunne and Ludwig Kaiser right now. It's like, we're still doing this.
Yeah. Yep. All right, what was next?
Seth Rollins' backstage interview with Jackie Redmond was interrupted by Finn Balor.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe they'll come face to face in the Elimination Chamber, but probably not.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Up next, we had War Raiders versus American Made.
Man, why? I really like the Creed brothers, but why do they always come off as goofy? Is that like their personalities? Like, is that who they naturally are? Because if it is, that's fine. But to me,
they were definitely goofy in NXT.
Well,
that's not who I thought they necessarily were, ever struck me as. And so it's kind of, and without Chad Gable, it feels even goofier. But
who's the rounder one? Is that Julius or
Brutus?
Brutus. Who? Brutus. Brutus is more so. He's the one who's the funny guy, and the other one. Oh, is Julius and Creed, right?
Yeah, Julius. Yeah. Julius and Brutus Creed.
Julius is a funny guy too.
But he's more so the slimmer one. He's more so of the more grappler. I'm better in the what. In all tag teams, it's very rare where both people are good at both things. But usually a tag team, one has more of a personality, the other one is more great in the ring. In this scenario, the rounder one is the more the cornball, hilarious, goofy one, and the slender one, that's the one who be doing one arm suplex, one arm power bombs and stuff. But that's why you're a team, because you're together. You're together.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that it doesn't the personality doesn't really fit the look, right, to a certain extent. Like, I don't have a problem with you being kind of cornball and over the top, but that's not necessarily the vibe that you give off when you just from a visual standpoint, right? So it almost looks like you're trying to do something that isn't necessarily who you are. And it kind of comes off that way, like, especially in this match where Brutus did, like, he had a couple moments where he did like those elaborate like little laugh things, or like he stepped back and like smiled into the. It's like, dude, that doesn't feel like right for your character and personality. Like, I mean, I suppose if that's you in real life, then that's fine to a certain extent. But if it's not, it doesn't feel like it's right for him or
I
for
think
them.
it
They feel like
fits.
they need to be more stoic, head-on brawn breaker kick-ass style guys than the funny cornball guys. I don't know. I don't that for me that's not getting them over. That's not going to get them over.
For me, I think it fits, but the way I see them is collegiate wrestlers, but they were also in a fraternity.
So they're frat boys essentially.
Frat boy college wrestlers. That's the way I see them.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I could see that.
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. Because like I did love okay, yeah. Again, this whole like totally changing them from where they were. They're not being totally changed, but I do think I do need them to lean more towards the diamond mine. Just a little bit. Not 100%, but like maybe give me 50% more diamond mine than being the goofballs. I will say that. But like I said, when in doubt, wrestle it out. This was a
Well,
very meaty match, and I loved it.
uh, do they start out in Diamond Mine?
Yes. Yeah, no, no,
Okay,
no.
so
Wait,
what I'm remembering was after Diamond Mine, of like, I remember them doing these video packages of them on vacation, all
yeah.
When they
for it to
first
lead
brought
up
up
to
to the
be
main
like,
roster.
ha, we got you. We were never on vacation. We're literally in the next room. This is a green screen. We're going to come out right now and get you.
Yeah, that was when they first came up to the main roster. That was right after they left NXT, and they were trying to figure out what to do with them before they put him with Jack Gable.
But yeah, again, this match was great. I understand, unlike AEW, I understand why some matches end in DQ, because you do it again and it's more unpredictable. In this match, no one thought that the Creed brothers was going to win. But so I understand. Let's end it in a DQ and run this back. But when it's so good though, it is like, come on. We were climbing to a crescendo. We were actually doing some. Like, it was actually getting like when you're really into it, and then Julius gets a belt. It's like, come on, be for real, bruh.
Yeah.
I was into this.
If I had only seen the Diamond Mine stuff, I would probably think that, they were the serious, stoic, and everything. But because of the whole story arc of them doing the vacations, angled vacation creeds, like, they're definitely not serious to me.
No, no, no.
Like,
Like I said,
they're definitely goofballs in my mind.
I don't mind them being goofballs, but I think the goofball stuff works when you have a switch. So like I can definitely be goofballs, but when like someone slaps you or someone what's the word? Or you get pissed, when I need the switch to happen. So if they can get more in tune with, oh snap, we just pissed them off, we're in trouble now. I think that would do better with there being a tag team. Like yeah, you can be goofball, but when like you said, the bell rings, the switch. Oh, when they get pissed off, there's a switch. They need a dangerous switch to balance out the goofiness. There we go.
I'll be back in a second.
Okay, cool. All right. So what happened next, Sammy?
Well, the match ended with them beating Ivar with the belt.
Yeah, and like I said, when you're getting to that third gear, I do understand people being like, why did y'all ruin that with the DQ? But like I said, if they didn't do the DQ before this match started, who really thought the Creed brothers were going to beat War Raiders?
I
So
didn't.
exactly. So like ending it in a DQ and running this back it's a I can give grace when it's a smart move. Like, okay, no one thought the Creed brothers were going to win, so let's DQ this. And next time we run this back, we can hype it up more, and there's like more anticipation, and actually give doubt to the Creeds might actually win this, and that's all. Like that's really the key to any match when you don't know who's going to win. So I understand why they DQ'd this match.
Um, we had two things be set up backstage. We had Styles and Braun Breaker. They had a bit of a stare down,
Yes,
and
give me that, please.
Braun Breaker said, "See you around." So we could be getting AJ Styles versus Braun Breaker for the title.
We should be getting that. And to that I say, again, as we said earlier, Braun has stared down with Penta. Braun has stared down with AJ. WrestleMania is coming up. If you don't know who to choose, I would not mind a triple threat with Penta, AJ, and Braun. That would be good. I understand why people don't like triple threats, like because there's a skill to it. You know, you really have to know what you're doing for it to work, for it not to feel clunky. I think definitely with AJ probably has the best triple threat match ever. Him, Chris Daniels, and Samoa Joe. So he's a master at it. Penta's a luchador, so he knows how to do luchador rules in tag teams. That feels like that's more keen towards a triple threat. More so with Braun Breaker. But again, when you have two out of three people who knows how to do a triple threat well, I think it could be really, really good. So I'm all here for that being a WrestleMania match. Penta, AJ, and Braun, triple threat. Yeah, give me that. I would love that.
I mean, we've had great triple threat matches. Like, it's not unheard of.
It's not, but again, it takes a certain amount of skill. Like we had some, but they're not like picking a top 10 of best triple threat matches is probably easier than one-on-one matches, honestly, because yeah, some people don't know how to do it well. So, but I believe with Penta, AJ, and Braun, that could be really, really good if y'all want to do that.
Where
Right?
are we at?
Timmy?
What's next?
Um, there was another triple threat match that I'm reminded of. Um, John Cena, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was good. It wasn't great. That really, I think that really kicks it off because, you know, all right, real quick, and we gotta go back. But I love people who are lovers of wrestling. More so when I say wrestling, they abide by the rules. So like when they started Triple Threat, we were like, oh, we're all good guys. But HBK was like, that's not a good match. So how about I super kick the crap out of Triple H? And we started like, oh, and as immediately as you do that, oh, okay, now we're interested. Like, yeah,
the best part of that though was when he told Triple H, "If it makes you feel better, I was aiming for Cena," making a joke about his lazy eye.
but yeah, it's like again, we're gonna be a tag team. We're not gonna break up. But in this scenario, you do need someone to root for and someone to boo. So it's like let me reciprocate Triple H and let's get this party off started. So yeah, it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. It was decent.
Next, we had Rhea Ripley informing Io Sky that the Raw after Chamber we're getting a match.
I kind of understand why this is not an elimination chamber. So we got 2 chamber matches. It looks like we're going to get KO and Sammy, which will be great. I don't think Cody's doing anything, but either way, elimination chamber can go for an hour, right? It's a very long match. So I get why this isn't at the premium live event, but this is a premium live event match.
Cody's going to do one of 2 things. He's either going to sit out and talk on commentary during the chamber match, or B, he'll come out after the winner's decided to do the face-to-face and have one of them point at the WrestleMania sign.
Right. Yeah, right. And so, but yeah, like I said, more so, we already have a full deck on. We have a full deck for Elimination Chambers. I can get why this isn't at the Premier Live event, but it's going to be a great match. So this should be the main event of Raw the night after, in my opinion. This should be the main event.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be.
Hey, we never know.
That's true. It could open the show.
All right.
Up next, we had a CM Punk promo.
Cool. All right, so this is, we're hyping this match up. We still need our people inside. More so, like he said, he's saying basic stuff to hype the match up. Then here comes Logan Paul. So Logan Paul's the one that eliminates CM Punk. I'm not mad at. If we're leading up to a face-off a match between Logan Paul and CM Punk, I really don't know how appealing that is. Like honestly, yeah. Like I said it earlier or yesterday on Friday Night Fights. Logan Paul is good, but basically he's the heel we want to see get beat up. So I don't think CM Punk isn't really the person. Like, oh, who's gonna beat up Logan Paul? CM Punk? Yeah. So, like, I'm not trying to give it. Like, okay, sorry. We already know Logan Paul beats Rey Mysterio. Like, if y'all just wanted to stop adding the counter with Elimination Chamber, that's fine. Or do like a mini feud, let them start off the chamber with those 2, and then that'll be the end of it. That's fine. But Logan Paul and CM Punk in any like on a Raw or WrestleMania, I'm sorry, or SmackDown or SummerSlam. Yeah, for me, yeah, it's all right. Yeah,
it's worse than I mean, we're talking about a guy that's not even a professional wrestler that they're trying to insert into a main event spot when you have guys that have been paying dues that are solid professional wrestlers that can't even sniff that spot, that deserve it. And that really irritates me. So in that regard, it actively makes me frustrated and pisses me off. Secondly, I hate both guys. Both guys are douchebags. So as far as I'm concerned, they can just beat each other up and both lose. So, and they should do it on a fucking house show. I don't even want to see it. So, that does nothing for me. I thought CM Punk's promo was pretty bland for CM Punk. I mean, he basically just hit the normal cliches, called Drew a piece of trash, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was solid, I guess. And, and then it just went downhill, obviously, when Logan Paul came out. Because as soon as you see Logan Paul in that situation, you already know WWE wants to insert him into that main event picture. And there are people that really deserve to be there, and he doesn't. So that really pisses me off.
Another thing that irritates me is the people who aren't getting the opportunity. Like he's also like better than most of them. That irritates me. Like he's not a wrestler and he's so damn good at it.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose we can, we don't need to right now just for the sake of time, but at some point, we could talk about some specific names. I mean, I'm sure there are some that he's potentially better than. At the same time, I'm not sure that it's the bulk of them. I mean, I don't, who knows? But that's always debatable, right? That's an opinion thing and so on. But obviously, we see how WWE sees him. So, and that's not to take away from the fact that he's definitely the best celebrity wrestler they've ever had in WWE. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Like his biggest
Asshole.
competition is Bad Bunny, and like we just haven't had enough of Bad Bunny to say whether Bad Bunny is better or not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that being said, no, I mean this was terrible for me all the way around. I mean, CM Punk on my TV giving a bad promo that's bland and cliche, and then terrible Logan Paul comes out. So.
But next up is the match, and the match again. To Sammy's point, this is why we hate you, because you're actually decent in the ring. I'll take the. I know. Listen, wise man, because I already know. Like, oh my God, what's worse than CM Punk versus Logan Paul? Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio. Listen, if you ALW bias, this match was good. This match was good, and I actually like their chemistry. I almost forgot they actually had a rivalry back in 2024, 2023 for the United States Championship. I never forgot, but it's crazy that it's been a year or two ago. It is, but yeah. So like, I respect that they know, all right, they know how to wrestle each other. So even though Logan Paul is good, you still want people who have like he's still in that scenario where you need people who's been with. Who he's wrestled with for a minute. I wouldn't put him in a new scenario just yet. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh, let him face Braun. Not yet. Not yet. I don't think that's going to be a good. Like, let's have him some solid wrestlers before we go off the deep end. So I enjoyed the match. This was good to me. I wish that Rey Mysterio would have won, but this was good to me. All right, fine.
All of my issues with Rey Mysterio are truly kayfabe. From everything I know, the dude's actually a really good guy, and more power to him. And like I said before, I can recognize greatness. I can appreciate the fact that he's really good at what he does. I just don't like the way he's been booked over the years. I just don't care for that. A lot of his booking over the years. That being said, like in no way, shape, or form do I ever want Logan Paul to be beating Rey Mysterio. I mean, Rey Mysterio is a hands down first ballot Hall of Famer, and Logan Paul's a schmuck. And, I mean, all those things said, like, no, I mean, I don't want him beating Rey Mysterio. At the same time, I understand kind of why you're doing it. I also rail all the time about how old guys get over and, the younger generation needs more or whatever. So I don't like Logan Paul, so I don't like him getting that opportunity, and I don't want him to be in any way, shape, or form in the future plans for WWE. That's probably unavoidable. But, that being said, I can see why they chose to do it. At the same time, no, I don't like it. I mean, there's levels to this again, and Rey Mysterio is way up here, and Logan Paul is way down here still, right? So, yeah, I mean... But the match itself was solid. I mean, Logan Paul is a decent wrestler, and Rey Mysterio is a very good wrestler. So this worked well, and the match I thought was fine for what it was. Just disappointed Rey lost.
CM Punk had a great line. It was like they're booing you so hard, it's like you're Dominic Mysterio.
Yep.
Bruh, it's worse. With Dom with the happy boo. Like, oh, here comes Dom, boo, boo. Like, it's more towards the equation of you suck. With Paul's like, no, we don't like you, sir.
Yeah, that feels like go away heat, like true go away heat, like yeah.
Like, sir, we do not care that you are here and that you want to fight people. We don't want you. We don't want you here right now.
Yep. All right, what was next?
That was
Rey
it.
Mysterio got beat up at the end of the match.
Okay, so I like this? I like that it's like I like this whole scenario of, oh snap, we can't find out what happened because the show's going off air. I actually like those kind of endings. Those endings appeal to me. What do you guys think about that? It's like, oh shit, what's going on? We can't even find out. Like, I actually like There we go. Cliffhangers. I love cliffhangers. What do y'all think about those?
I mean, it's okay. I mean, the problem that I have with cliffhangers is that usually they're pushing you to watch whatever's next, which is the raw talk, right? Because you'll find out what happened after that, and it's just another way to drive you more to WWE programming. If they didn't have something like Raw talk afterwards or whatever, and we literally had to wait until next week on Raw to find out what happened at the beginning of next week's show, that would, I mean, it would be more frustrating because you have to wait longer, but I think it would work a little bit better. But really, for me, it's just a vehicle to just push people to Raw talk and more WWE content. So in that regard, it kind of irritates me. But yes, as a general rule, I'm a cliffhanger guy. I like cliffhangers.
Side note, they still have Raw talk. Like as someone who y'all know I'm an old person with more television. So y'all wait, hold up. Y'all want me to click off Netflix, turn on Peacock to watch Raw talk? That ain't happening. Like no offense. I am not entitled to people losing their jobs. But I don't think Raw Talk has the viewership to do this, let alone why are you trying to make Raw Talk have viewership? I don't like that. I just make it a cliffhanger. Just make it a cliffhanger. I didn't know Raw Talk was still a thing. If it is, all right, go ahead. But yeah, make it a cliffhanger, and then we know what happened next Monday. I think that's great.
Yeah. No, I mean, the whole this new modern post pay-per-view scrum era media, press conference scrum era that's been going on now for what, 5 years, 6 years, maybe a little longer than that now, is bizarre to me. And now they're doing it with more and more stuff, right? So Raw Talk, and they have SmackDown. SmackDown has a show after SmackDown where they go and talk about that. I mean, usually I don't know how. I mean, I don't watch Raw Talk or the SmackDown post show, whatever that is, whatever it's called. But I don't know how often they actually have the wrestlers from the show on. But if it's just guys like it is a pre-show just sitting around talking, which is what I expect it is, that I have no real interest in. So I have a little bit more interest slightly in the actual athletes speaking afterwards, because you do get stuff like the CM Punk stuff. And with AEW, every once in a while, you get one of those moments. But even then, I don't know, it's all just, that's what happens when you start to push the fourth wall, right? And kayfabe has become a less and less, and that line is less and less, is more and more blurred, right? So then you do the press conferences and you have these people being themselves even more and more, outside of the ring and outside of just the confines of the WWE show that's going on. So yeah, I mean, it's very interesting.
All right, so that was the end, and every time we get to build up to a premium live event or build a WrestleMania, we're gonna have a filler show. We all know this. Even though we shouldn't be grading this as its curve, but it's the only way I can explain it. As a filler show.
No, you can't do that. No. So you throw good for a girl? This is a good show for a filler show? Come on now.
We're going to judge it based on the show, but I'm just going to say, as a filler show, we've seen hella worse. At least, come on, you can admit that. We know the filler show, we've seen hella worse. So I am glad at least they gave us more wrestling and at least some development to the road to WrestleMania. Where's that point, which is at? But I will grade it accordingly as just a Raw.
And what is that grade then?
Again, what's the rules? Nothing egregious. Nothing, nothing that made us turn the TV off and pissed us off. Nothing like that.
Turn the TV
off. B minus.
B minus.
B minus. Yeah.
I mean, I liked it. I liked it more before we started talking through it, and as we talked through it, my overall view kind of fell apart a little bit. I mean, I thought it was really, really solid until CM Punk's promo, and then, I mean, CM Punk is what it is. He's a solid talker. I don't like him, but he's a solid talker. I thought this promo was very bland for him, and then Logan Paul obviously coming out at the end, and then Logan Paul being in the main event of a Raw episode, doesn't necessarily move the needle a whole lot for me. And again, I'm not the biggest, like I just said, I'm not the biggest Rey Mysterio fan. I can respect what he does, but him being in a main event at this point doesn't necessarily move the needle a whole lot for me. So in that regard, they definitely could have done a lot better. Prior to that, I thought the show was very solid. I mean, like I said, I was higher on it coming into this than I am at this moment. But it feels like B minus, where Nika put it, is a pretty good spot. I'm going to go with you and go B minus as well.
Well, I was going to go B minus, but since both of you went B minus, I think I'm going to give it a C plus.
That's not how that works, you emotional crackhead. You don't grade it how we're gonna grade it. What's wrong with you? No.
The opening was great. Like, if I had turned it off after the first match, great show, high rating. But like the next match ending in a roll up, and then having Dirty Dom, and then having a match that ends in DQ, and then having a match that's Logan Paul winning and going over. It's like,
you're making
out of a 3-hour show, the first 20 minutes was really good. If we'd have stopped at 20 minutes, it would have been great.
Yes.
Since we had to do the rest of the actual show.
It went downhill. Like, the longer the show went, the worse it got.
Whatever. You just said because we gave you a B minus, you went to C plus. Now you want to explain why you gave us C plus. But all right, fine.
All right, so 2 B minuses and a C plus. That brings us to our next show, which is NXT. Which I thought was.
Should I just kept it across the board? Because I was thinking B minus until both of you went B minus. Like, B minus is the grade I was going to give it.
We don't grade based on other people's grades,
choosing independent of what anybody else is choosing. You're just giving your own grade, but
all right. In that case, it is a B minus. It was a B minus show. I was thinking and feeling B minus. I just wanted to be different.
So we got 3 B minuses. So we got 3 B minuses for Monday Night Raw. That brings us to NXT from the next night, the 11th. And we are at the Capitol Wrestling Center in Orlando, Florida. Booker T, Vic Joseph, Corey Graves. It is the go-home show for Vengeance tonight, unfortunately, because it is Valentine's Day weekend. I will not be here, and I don't think we're going to be doing any watch-alongs tonight, which means we're not doing a watch-along for Grand Slam Australia as well. So, sorry, it is... Oh, what?
No, nothing. We're fine. Okay. No. Right. Yes, screw it. So you know what day it is, right? Today. Okay. For Valentine's Day, it's the 14th, right?
Right.
So, yeah. But my parents and other sane people are like, hey, the actual Valentine's Day is going to be too much. We'll do something before and after. That's what sane people do. You're in a committed relationship. That's what you should do. For the people out in these streets, this is whole day. This is side piece day where, mac and cheese, you can't have Valentine's Day, but I have you the day after. So I just want to let you know, if you get silence, Miss Wise Woman, we know y'all committed. AEW ain't got nothing. I'm just saying, you get some looks, you better pull up the ring. Like, we just old and we know better. We don't want to be bombarded with a crowd. I'm just saying. All right, go fire.
I did not know that the 15th of February was Side Piece Day. That's good to know. That's good to know. That is good to know.
We'll go. I treat it like a side piece. Get the freak on. It's right.
Well, unfortunately, tonight we are not going to be doing any watch-alongs, I don't believe. But I hope y'all enjoy watching AEW Australia Grand Slam, if that's what you watch, and or Vengeance Day NXT, if you watch both. Let us know. You can always comment on the YouTube channel, independent of being in a live show or whatever. Let us know what you think of the shows, if you watch them or whatever. Both shows should be really good, so I will obviously watch them afterwards, but I won't be watching them live.
I made the best mac and cheese last night for dinner.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, delicious.
Delicious. So, all right. So this is a go-home show for Vengeance Day, which is tonight, and we open the show with Bailey versus Cora Jade,
Interesting.
in which Cora Jade got the win, which I thought was very surprising. Obviously, Roxanne Perez, as you would expect, interjected herself here about three quarters of the way through the match. She came down and didn't really necessarily like interfere, but kind of did, and then costing Bailey, ultimately allowing Cora Jade to get the Jaded for the pin a little over 10 minutes. This is probably one of Cora Jade's better matches. And it just goes to show you how good Bailey is, because her ability to make anybody look really good. And when you're really good, that's one of the things you can do. And not to take anything away from Cora Jade, although we do talk a lot about how one of these things is not like the other, especially in the main event NXT women's picture. If that's where you're trying to put her, she's a solid mid-card wrestler, but she's definitely not a main event wrestler. And obviously, we know Bailey is in her pedigree. So,
my Cora Jade comment of the week. Is Cora aware that Vince isn't in charge anymore? She didn't have to get the boob job.
I am not entertaining this, but I'm pretty sure she had the boob job before the what you call it, the turning of the tide. Side note, has anyone watched TNA? Because Cora Jade, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, good. I was just about to say that I think the reason that she got the win is because she's ultimately going after the TNA Knockouts title, which is why it makes sense. That's kind of what's on her radar at the moment with this TNA WWE crossover. And I guess to a certain extent that makes sense. I mean, I hate to see the TNA women's division, which was for a number of years, and until about the last year or so, was probably arguably the best women's division in wrestling. The fact that Cora Jade would go over there and be at the top of the pile is a lot to think, because there's a lot of great women over there that are way better than her. But that being said, NXT has they have the best women's division now, and Cora Jade is, whether we like it or not, being put kind of in that main event picture. So it does make some kind of sense, I guess, to have her go to TNA and potentially at least compete, if not win that title. I don't like that, but so that's, I'm sure, why she got to win. Anyhow, what were you saying, Nico? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that was it. Like ever since they actually made a actual multi-year deal with TNA, it feels like they're being more shareable. Like when they were teasing the TNA NXT crossover, they weren't really sending their best people over there. But now it's like, Cora Jade. Oh yeah. It's like, you're fine, but you're not one of our top guys. But now Cora Jade's going over there. Now Axiom and Frazier, we might get a actual Axiom Frazier versus Hardy Boys.
Bunch of people I don't care about.
Axiom and Frazier is great. Don't do that. They are in the ring. We always say this. The build up for their matches may be greater, big or small. When they hit that ring, it's like, oh shoot, what's happening? So they have been amping up who they sent over to TNA. I'll just say that.
The biggest problem I have with this is it made Lyra look bad, because Lyra just lost to Bailey, and now Bailey's losing to Cora Jade.
Now, full disclosure, the whole match, this was a decent match, and the reason why Bailey lost is because Roxanne wanted to be the biggest troll distraction, coming out with the Bailey Buddy outfit in a freaking theme song. Like, wait,
Bailey's old,
and you know what?
Dressed like Bailey, yeah.
Like, hold up, wait up, time out. Side note, we haven't heard this song in how long? Like, I want to say last time was 2019. Like, bruh, and then you looking like her. It's like, hold up, y'all.
Yeah, Roxanne pulled the fit. She pulled it off.
Like, hold up, wait a minute.
It was hysterical.
Like, you big troll. This probably was the best heelish thing Roxanne has done. And congrats on that, darling. Congrats on that.
So Jade is backstage. She's celebrating. Or no, I'm sorry. Jade is celebrating, and then it flashes to Ava backstage. She's with Julia. She whispers something to Julia, not totally sure what it is. Julia kind of nods. And then Ava adds Cora Jade to the women's title match at Vengeance Day. And then we see Bayley laying out Roxanne Perez in the middle of the ring. Anything about the post-match stuff?
Do we need to be a four-way? Like we really could really just let this be Roxanne, Bayley versus Julia. Did we have to add Cora? Like you said, you're already doing something at TNA. We could have.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily hate it, but it doesn't add any. This is not icing on top of the cake. It's like you just added. You forgot. What's the word?
Here's what they've done. They've ensured they have somebody in the match that can take the pin, and it's going to be okay.
No. Oh,
that's what they've ensured. I don't know who's getting the win, but it's going to be on Cora Jade.
Probably. Oh, dang it, man. You're probably right. You're probably right.
My guess is that Julia probably retains. It would be very weird for them to take the belt off her this quick. And even though I think Bayley is enjoying probably being on NXT and I love seeing her there, she's not destined to stay there for too long. So I'm assuming Julia retains the belt here. And it'll be a decent fatal four-way defense under her reign, as part of her reign. So
the moment Julia loses that belt, you got to move her to the main roster.
I would think so. Especially Raw really needs help, right?
Yeah.
So, Nikita Lyons is backstage. She's mocking Sol Ruca and Zarya. So ultimately, it sets up a match for later, which we'll get to when we get to the match later. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, now these women I don't see moving to the main roster anytime soon.
Honestly, I'm not sure. Out of these three, Zarya is really the only one that I see has even a really bright future potentially for the main roster. And Sol Ruca is very talented. Nikita Lyons, I think, is either destined to be NXT for life or she'll get fired or go somewhere else or leave or something. I don't think she's going to the main roster. Or if she does, it's not going to be for any, Sol could at some point, but Zarya is definitely, she's still young and whatever, but I think she's the closest to being ready for the main roster.
I see Jordan Grace going to the main roster before Zarya.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, well, for sure.
But you know what I'm saying? Out of these three, it's crazy because even though I don't like her, there was a big push for Nikita. But when she got hurt, she really didn't get back to where she was before she got hurt. Not sure if she'll ever get back there. And again, that was kind of under another regime. So,
yeah,
sorry, darling.
I think she was over a little before her personal stuff came out. She came on, we were like, oh, she's all right. And then all of a sudden we started kind of know who she was. And then she got injured and that's hell no, we're not fucking with you.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of her character. The whole Mysterio man stick.
We're throwing things at the wall. We're trying to see if something sticks. And maybe it doesn't. And it's, you know what? I don't care. So, yeah.
All right. Here is the ruler, Oba Femi, in the ring for a chat. He says he's ready to face both members of A-Town down at Vengeance Day, even though it will ultimately be a handicap match. He's trying to verbally kind of create a wedge between Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, who is going to actually be ultimately going to be the champion, or they're going to share it, blah, blah, blah. And then Q, Waller, and Theory, they both come down and they say, no, we know what you're trying to do. It's not going to work. And lo and behold, it actually does kind of work because the two of them start to go at it a little bit. And then after they go at it a little bit, it seems like maybe they were playing with Oba, and then they turn their attention back to him. And then they ultimately attack Oba, but then they kind of turn their attention to each other again. And when it's all said and done, it's not totally clear on where they stand. Both of them want the NXT title. Both of them feel they deserve it. And I guess the rubber will meet the road in the match at Vengeance Day. What do you guys think of this? Who do you think gets the win at Vengeance Day? You think Oba retains? And do you think this is the end of A-Town Down?
So overtraining. Let's not act crazy. This is very interesting because Grayson and Austin, they're in this mid card. They're definitely mid card when it comes to SmackDown. And I'm kind of wondering why they set this up. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, we're trying to prolong Oba versus Trick until WrestleMania Takeover. But it's like, we brought these two guys over who ultimately, crazy enough, if you're a part of NXT, right? Not everybody's gonna have that title, but it feels like Grayson and Austin. Yeah, they probably should have held go before leaving NXT. They're gonna say the top title, but definitely North American champion, maybe a tag. If it does, was him and Gargano? Yeah. Well, before I said it, did Gargano and Austin win the tag team title at all?
No, but wasn't he? He was a North American champion, I think, for a little while in NXT.
He was?
Awesome, dude.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, he was with the Way. Yeah, well, he was with the Way. He was.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only title. I don't think him and Gargano actually won the tag team titles. I don't think so.
All right. Then more so with Grayson Waller. He's part of the Big Four from NXT Nickelodeon, so to speak. It was great. It was Grayson, it was Braun, it was Carmelo, and it was Tony D. And like everybody won top gold, and Grayson didn't get that top gold. It felt like he should have gotten the belt. So it is interesting that they're having this little mini feud in NXT. Again, they should not be beating Oba, but it's like, yeah, it should have happened once or twice.
You think this is the end of A-Town Down? You think this match is where they have a falling out and it's the end of it, or what?
No.
No?
No.
What about you, Sammy? What do you think?
I don't think so.
No, you think they're still destined to continue to be tag team?
I googled it. He did not hold it. Johnny Gargano was the North American champion during that time.
Okay.
It wasn't Austin Theory?
Yeah, Austin Theory never held an NXT title.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. With certain people, like they should have had like Bianca Belair. She's never had an NXT title. It's like I get. They were definitely Bianca Belair was supposed to go to the main roster, but it was like, dang it, that was a missed opportunity. They should have had her like even a little bit. So it makes this match, it makes this match a little interesting. But yeah.
Everything he's won, whatever titles he's won, has been on the main roster. Tag team championships, and then the 2 U.S. championship runs.
Yep.
Were both on the main roster. All that stuff was on the main roster. Interesting. I thought for sure he had a title. I knew it wasn't the NXT World Champion or championship, but I thought he'd been the North American champion. But very interesting. All right. So
I knew he was involved in the picture of the North American title, but it was that he was facing people who were going after Gargano.
Yeah, that makes sense. Helping Gargano continue to retain that title. Video, Trick Williams versus Eddie Thorpe, and Eddie Thorpe wanting a strap match at Vengeance Day, which I'm okay with. I mean, Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams in a strap match should be good. Anything you guys want to say about that?
This makes more sense to me than Oba versus Austin and Grayson. So, sure. Like you said, sure. I bet.
All right. Sammy, anything you want to say or no?
Is this strap match a Four Corners match, or is it like a Bryan Danielson, The Fiend strap match?
That I don't know. I'm not sure. They didn't make that distinction. I don't remember during the show when they announced it. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm not a big fan of the Four Corners.
And this is NXT. NXT is more of a wrestling show, so I think it's going to be just a strap match. They'll be strapped together beating the crap out of each other, and then someone gets the
Right.
1-2 or submission.
Right. We got Javon Evans, who's medically cleared to return. But Ava says, I'm not comfortable, even though I know you want to get out there and wrestle Ethan Page. I understand. And I know you're clear, but it's not coming. And he said, I don't care. She's like, well, WWE can still be liable. He said, I'm cleared. And she said, okay. So here's what we're going to do. You can sign a release that says you relieve WWE of any liability if you get further hurt. And of course, as you would assume, with no hesitation, he signs it. And we are on for Ethan Page and Javon Evans at Judgment Day, or Vengeance Day. Sorry. What do you guys think of this?
Hey, smart on Ava. It'll catch me slipping. All right, so you are committing yourself to this match. In no way, shape, or form have we pressured you into doing this match. I'm on here. All right, bet. This match will be interesting because I don't know who wins. I really don't know who wins.
I really like Javon Evans, but this is Ethan Page.
Do you think so? I'm torn. Because of the way that Ethan Page has treated him, it feels like there's a perfect opportunity for Javon to get a come up in his receipt and get a win over Ethan Page. I just don't. I mean, at the same time, like, I always say there's levels to this, right? And Ethan Page is definitely on a level above Javon Evans. And so sometimes it's hard to reconcile how someone's going to beat somebody. I'm not totally sure how I can see it playing out. And this is one of those situations. At the same time, the right decision here is for Javon Evans to probably get the win here. But I don't know how you get there.
I mean, I'm just like, Javon Evans is young. He'll definitely get more wins in the future. Ethan Page is 35. It's getting to the point of now or never. Like this is his prime. Like 35 to 45. Like he's looking at retirement in 10 years. Like we need to get a move on with Ethan Page.
I'm surprised he hasn't already been moved up to the main roster, honestly. But I figured after his little NXT title run, he'd be moved up to the main roster, but he's still here, so I don't know.
All right, if you had to put a percentage on it, what would you give who wins what? If I had to put Javon winning, I would give it 35-65.
65 probably go. Ethan Page win. 35% Javon Evans wins, 65% Ethan Page wins.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. What about you, Sammy?
I'd probably go 20-80.
Man, I don't know. It feels like it should be 60-40 or 70-30 Javon getting the win, but like the way WWE does stuff, and Sammy said, Javon being young and Ethan needing to do what, I mean, it's probably closer to 60-40 Ethan Page getting the win, probably about 40% chance Javon gets a win, 60% chance Ethan Page gets a win, maybe a little bit more for Ethan Page. But man, I want Javon to get the win.
I mean, I would too. Like, I love Javon, but like Ethan Page, he's 35. Like, we need to get a move on.
Yeah.
Like, at this rate, he could still do a Damian Priest and win the world title when he's like 41, but like, we need to set up those dominoes for him to be able to challenge for the world title in 6 years.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Hank and Tank versus Josh Briggs and Inamura versus No Quarter Catch Crew in a triple threat tag team match. The winner gets a tag team match against Nathan Frazier and Axiom for the titles. Very solid match here. I thought even Hank and Tank looked good. Inamura did get the win here, with Josh Briggs and Inamura got the win here ultimately, which I'm very happy about. That they're now my new favorite NXT tag team, so I'm very happy about that, especially over Hank and Tank and No Quarter Catch Crew. No, Hank and Tank are okay. I mean, they're growing on me a little bit. I still think they're extremely limited, and they shouldn't be anywhere but NXT and definitely in the mid card of whatever tag teams are going on. But they're middle of the pack. But that being said, they're growing on me a little bit. No Quarter Catch Crew, Miles Born in TV and Heights. I mean, I was high on TV and Heights when he first came in, before he was with No Quarter Catch Crew. There was like Javon Evans and TV and Heights kind of came in at the same time, and I thought, oh, they're both going to get good little singles pushes. But as usual, there seems to be only room for, when they bring 2 or 3 people in at the same time, there usually seems to be room for one of those, and the other guys either go away or get stuck doing something else. And as a result, they put TV and Heights and No Quarter Catch Crew, and so here he is with Miles Bourne. It is what it is. I think they're holding him back. I think he's better than the No Quarter Catch Crew. But like I said, Josh Briggs and Inamura got the win here, and they will ultimately get a title shot against Fraxium. What do you guys think of this and them getting a title shot?
Who did you say is your favorite tag team?
Right now, Josh Briggs and Inamura.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I thought you were saying Hank and Tank.
No. Briggs and Inamura right now is my favorite
Okay,
tag
yeah.
team.
I was
I
about to
said
be
Hank and
real
Tank are growing
surprised.
on me. No, I was saying Hank and Tank are growing on me. I think they're still real middle of the pack, especially WWE, NXT tag teams, but they've grown on me from when they first came around. I'm still not high on them, but they've grown on me a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you with Josh Briggs and Inamura. Like, solid tag team. I enjoy their work.
Yeah.
This was fine. No Quarter Catch Crew is such a interesting group because I think we all can say we want them to get over. They all have people in there that we want to see succeed, but just y'all together isn't working. And so, and then the question with that is, well, how do we make it work? Or what? Not like more so. Not like, no offense, the group, no offense, that ain't getting over. So more so individually. Let's say we break them up. What then? Because I don't feel like individually, besides what's the boy's name? I think Damien. No one. I have no security in any of these people by themselves. Sorry.
No, I mean, I think that's probably why they are together. I mean, I think, they put people together that I think they think all probably need help with each other. They can all help each other. And, together they might be able to get over. The problem is that when you put, in theory, 3 or 4 or 5 people that are all not getting over together in the hopes that as a group they'll get over together, to me, that seems antithetical. Like, 2 people that aren't getting over individually, putting them together, all of a sudden now they're going to get over. That to me doesn't make any sense. So it doesn't surprise me when you put a bunch of people that aren't getting over into a faction together and then that faction doesn't get over. I'm not sure why you think it would. So, that being said, that's basically what we're at with No Quarter Catch Crew. I mean, I think Charlie Dempsey probably has the highest upside just because of his pedigree and who he is. And if they leaned into it, at the same time, he is bland and boring. Athletically and from just a fun standpoint, Tavian Heights is definitely the high point of No Quarter Catch Crew.
Like, you know what? Like, I loved with him and what's the old boy's name? He was a nerdy dude. He was a teacher, but he had like a what you call it, a pinpoint presentation. He was friends with Brian Danielson, Daniel Bryan. What's his name? He got in trouble with
Gulak.
Drew Gulak. I felt like he was getting somewhere with Drew Gulak, but unfortunately, stuff happened. That didn't happen. I feel like I want to say his name is Tommy, the man who had like Toothless Timmy. There you go. That was with Ciampa. I feel like if he was with those dudes, that would be a better situation for him than right now. Like, he definitely he's still young. He needs that older mentor who has the same moveset that he has to kind of elevate him. So we need a Toothless Timmy or a Drew Gulak, someone like that to help get Charlie Dempsey over.
I agree with that. He'd be much better in and something with guys that are more his either better than him or more on his level for sure. That's the iron sharpens iron type of situation. That would be. So I mean, Drew Gulak was definitely underutilized always and underappreciated. I don't even know what he's doing right now, but I do miss Drew. Let's see. Next, we had Stax backstage apologizing to Tony D'Angelo for losing last week and just kind of being kind of off his game recently. And Tony D says it's okay, don't worry about it. We've got bigger things to deal with, which is I got to go out and handle things tonight in the main event match in Steel Cage. So, what do you guys think about this little backstage promo prior to Tony D's match tonight? Anything you want to say about it?
Before any big match or any big turning point, you gotta have some stability. So I like that let's make sure the family's good before the next chapter comes.
Yes. Next, we get a Heritage Cup match. This one was very weird to me. I'll explain in just a second why. We had Lexis King, the Heritage Cup champion at the moment, who has created or changed the rules for the Heritage Cup matches. They are no longer British rounds matches. They're now just regular one fall matches, which is dumb because I thought the Heritage Cup matches, I liked the difference in it. I thought it added a little, something different to what we see. Everything's always just basically a one fall match anyhow. So I that did disappoint me. Secondly, why? I understand that in TNA he's JDC, but he's already been on WWE as Fandango. He was fucking in NXT as Fandango. Why does he have to be JDC? I don't understand why you can't just call him Fandango.
Listen. So wait. Sorry, let me go back to this. So this is the whole thing about going somewhere and coming back, right? Do you go with your old routine or your new routine? And honestly, the meat and potatoes of it is, how over are you with the new name? Like let's say that John Moxley want to do a retirement year in WWE. He can't come back as Dean Ambrose. Like, I'm sorry, if he comes back to WWE, that's John Moxley. It ain't Dean Ambrose no more. So, but I say as I say this, John Moxley is no Fandango. So it really is about how I have not seen TNA like that. I've seen a couple of I'm calling him Fandango. I don't even know what his name is. I've seen a couple of a couple of clips of him being in TNA, and it's definitely a new character. But again, the question is it more over than Fandango? I'm going to say no. But again, if you want to make it over, I think he can, you can give him the leeway to try. Let's see. Let's see. Let's try.
It's not even that different than Fandango, though. He's still out there wiggling his hips and doing basically the same Fandango routine. It's not like the JDC character is like a 180 from the Fandango character. The whole thing is weird.
So to that, because like I said, I saw some clips when he was in TNA. I thought he was just Dirty Dango. So when did we go from Dirty Dango to a completely new name?
I don't watch TNA enough to know, but I don't watch TNA enough to know. But I think maybe when he joined the system, maybe that's when he changed his name. Excuse me. Jesus. Oh, I'm having a sneezing fit. But this match, needless to say, we have JDC from TNA, member of the system, here on NXT, taking on Lexis King for the Heritage Cup. Ultimately, Lexis King gets the hanging coronation and retains the cup a little under 10 minutes or so. This wasn't necessary. I didn't think it was terrible, but it wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen either. I know Fandango can do better than that as far as a match goes, and he's a better wrestler than that. At the same time, I thought it was okay for what it was. Like I said, I do miss the whole Heritage Cup rounds concept. So in that regard, it was a little boring because it's just a regular old match. But it's good to see Fandango back. I don't watch TNA at the moment, so it was good to see Fandango. And for what it was okay. What do you guys think?
So I think there's a reason why they're doing that. In my mind, sometimes when they what's the word? Sometimes when they do something, it's to pay it off later. I think right now, what's her boy's name? Lexis King, him being a heel and changing the rules is on purpose. When I say that, where someone from an OG who had a Heritage Cup comes back, they'll rechange the rules. So in that instance, I'm all for it. if that's the plan. I'm pretty sure it's a plan, but like if it's not, hey, if anyone from WWE NXT is listening to us, that should be the plan.
Where is Noam Dar?
So he was hurt. And I didn't want to say it before, and I didn't want to say it because not sure how hurt he is, but because like if it's not he was the person I had in my mind when I said this, but I don't know how hurt he is. So it's like you don't want to say
he's
it.
been
You can't
gone
go
for
mad.
a long time. It feels like
Yeah.
even injured, he's been gone for a long time. I don't know what the injury was, but I mean,
no, I totally agree, and hopefully it's not an injury where career ending. Hopefully it's not that.
Yeah. Roxanne Perez is ranting to Ava about Cora Jade being added to the title match. Bayley doesn't want to hear the complaining, but does say this is the best that Roxanne has ever looked. Cora Jade comes in and doesn't like what Roxanne has been saying, and says she'll win on Saturday. And Roxanne tries to kind of backpedal, and that's not what I was saying. I really, Cora, no. What do you guys think of this little segment here with Roxanne, Bayley, and Cora and Ava?
I liked it because it's like very, very clear. We're using each other. We're not friends anymore. We're using each other. I'm sorry I got my hand caught in cookie jar. I told smack to you, but yeah. We're being how we were back in 2021, 2022. Like that ain't happening. Like, so I am glad for this. But like let me be very clear. We're not best friends like we were in 2021, 2022. So yeah. So, and of course, like I said earlier, when it comes to a match, at one point in time it has to crumble. So a nice little enticement for the Fatal 4-Way. This wasn't bad. Sammy, any thoughts?
I was thinking about the rankings, like who the next challenger would be, because you had mentioned the one dude's name, and I was like, I kind of feel like he's kind of due for a shot.
Oh, you're going back to the Heritage Cup?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the dude now, though. Sorry, I'm pretty tired.
The dude that Lexus King wrestled?
Possibly. Like, I'm spacing.
All right, it's all good.
You took a nap.
Next we have Fallon Henley and Fatal Influence backstage. She's talking about how she's going to defend the women's North American title at Vengeance Day. Kalani Jordan and both say they deserve a match. They want title shots. Ashanti the Adonis comes in and says that Carmen should actually get it, and they end up just basically fighting between the four of them, bickering about it. Anything you guys want to say about that?
Feuds, rivalries, cool.
Right? Next, we get Zarya versus Nikita, which is the match that came from the earlier Fallout. Let's see, Zarya gets the win ultimately with the F5. And this was very short. I thought this was very weird. Like, for a woman like you said, Nikita, that was over before and getting pushed before, it seems like this is a squash for Zarya, which feels very, very weird. At the same time, it does make Zarya look good. And okay, I mean, I like Zarya, so good. I'm not a Nikita Lyons fan, so it's fine. It just seems kind of odd. Anything you want to say about it?
Like even if we're Nikita, we're like we're not Nikita Lyons fans, but just on the base level of who we're pushing in NXT, Zarya is still closer to the top than Nikita. Nikita needs some build up, and then we said the same thing about Cora Jade when she came back. Not saying that Cora Jade and Nikita are the same level, but when she came back, it was like a squash match between her. I want to say in I don't know. She like someone beat her fast too. So that gets that out of the realm of possibility. This is definitely a developmental match. I will say this. This is NXT developmental. let's just have a match to push someone. And so in that aspect, all right, cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, if you're trying to pick who to push, I mean, I'm here for Nikita Lyons, or I'm here for Zario over Nikita Lyons, so I guess it's fine. It is what it is. We get a video package of Ethan Page versus Javon Evans, which building up to their match Vengeance Day tonight, which should be very good. Thought it was a solid video package. And then we get Rick, who is in for the strap match with Eddie Thorpe. Hyping that up too. Again, this is a go-home show, so 2 little segments here to hype up the matches of Vengeance Day tonight. Anything you want to say about either of these? Which match are you most looking forward to? How's that?
Definitely Ethan versus Javon, because even though we're pushing Eddie Thorpe, Trick should be winning that. Trick should be winning that match, right? So I think, Ethan Page versus Javon is more unpredictable than Eddie Thorpe versus Trick. I love so even though we had nothing to say about Seth in the Finn promo in the crowd, I do love them doing the promo interviews in the crowd. It's a different feel. I actually like how it comes off. More so with Trick into the crowd being interviewed. I actually like that environment in the crowd, having them up. I like that. Okay, this match shouldn't suck, but yeah, Trick should be winning.
I agree with that too. I think Ethan Page and Javon Evans has a little more meat on the bones because of what's been going on. They've done a good story there with the whole beatdown of Javon Evans, and now Javon trying to get his receipt. And Trick and Eddie's trap match is always going to be fun, but I'm not necessarily the biggest Eddie Thorpe fan, so I assume Trick will get the win too. So. We're getting a Vengeance Day rundown by the announcers, and then we get a face in the crowd. And they don't give him a name, but the crowd is chanting Ricky Starks, Ricky Starks, Ricky Starks, and he responds with, "You obviously know who I am."
Yes, we do, Boo.
He says WWE or NXT needed an absolute star, and he is here, and he's here to turn the place upside down. So Ricky Starks is here in NXT. What'd you think of this? First of all, what'd you think of them not really giving him a name yet? And then what about him being here in general?
I'm a little nervous about that because what could be better than Ricky Starks, honestly? And then my mind goes to Eli Drake becoming LA Knight. That's probably the best one where it's like, okay, that name actually works for the character, and it's L. You see the same feel of LA Knight, yeah, like right instead of Eli Drake. Hopefully, people are petty. People are petty now in wrestling. So is it because of copyright stuff where Ricky can't use it, or they're just like, you know what? Let's just change it completely. Even though he's in NXT, he is. I would put Ricky Starks in the same boat as Jade. More so of a big acquisition from AEW. I say that to say, since you want to brag about getting him from AEW, I say keep the name. Now, it might be something as simple as we're just going to give you one name instead of two. So are we going to keep Ricky, or are we just going to keep Starks? Maybe it's just that. And then you have you have Zoe Starks, but no offense, Zoe Starks should not be a factor in this decision because Zoe Starks is not over like that. So it's like no offense, you got like 3 Braun Breakers. It's cool. It'll be all right if you have 2 Starks. That's just my opinion. Now, to the moment, it's crazy, right? Because you would think, oh, why didn't you wait for Vengeance Day? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think NXT on CW has a very high showing, maybe more high than their premium live events. So I'm okay with him being debuted right now. So I'm hyped. I'm very much so happy for him. Just for any wrestler who feels like they can't do what they love to do based on whatever, right? So I'm excited. And then you have, even though they did a promo package, they did him right behind Trick Williams. So right then and there, that promo battle is just
Yeah.
gonna be so delicious. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I'm always a little nervous when, people go to different places to see what ends up happening. But, at the same time, the way he was being used at the end of his AEW run, obviously anything's better than that because he basically wasn't being used.
Mhm.
And, so, uh, he's extremely solid in the ring, but really he thrives as an entertainer. And so, in that regard, WWE, which leans a little more towards that, could be a little bit better fit for a guy like Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
So where that can really be the part that dominates. I Googled it, and it looks like, as best I can tell from Wikipedia, that his real name might be Ricky Starks. I mean, normally when when
Okay.
it's not their name, it says the wrestler's name and then it says their real name. Like when you put in
Right.
Triple H, it shows Paul Levesque. When you put in
Right.
Undertaker, it shows, Mark, whatever his last name is. But
Right.
as opposed to here, it just says Ricky Starks. So it never says anything about a real name. So that might be his real name. I don't know. So if that's his real name, I can't imagine they can keep him from using it. I can't imagine AEW trademarked his real name. That would be fucking bizarre.
Like
But,
I said, it's so
who knows?
yeah, it's so many factors. Like then, like that is his real name. Do you want to use his real name? Like I know the WWE is like, oh, like I want to say they made John Cena sign over the rights to his real name. It's like, sir, this is my real name. Like, what that free? Or the Cody Rhodes, you gotta sign away the Rhodes name. It's like, so yeah, maybe it's that where it's like, listen, my name is my name. Let's just say this doesn't go the way I want it to. And I gotta go back to the independent scene. I want to go to Starks. So maybe it's that instance where it's like, just in case I don't feel like this will go over my favor, let me keep Ricky Starks and let's do a different name. And if that's smart. If that's the mindset. Like, okay, let's just have some safe. Let's have some safety just in case this doesn't go well. Because even though Ricky is absolute, and like I said, he's in a stratosphere where if he doesn't get over, that's your fault, WWE, not his. That's your fault. But just in case, let's be safe about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern with him in WWE is just his size, right? I mean, his personality is huge, but he's small. And he's not just small height-wise, he's small stature-wise. So that's the only thing that concerns me. I mean, he's basically Finn Balor size, right? And so that
Oh
he's,
gosh.
yeah, I mean, so, I don't know, we'll have to see. But I'm excited to see potentially what happens with him in NXT.
Yeah.
We got Julia and Stephanie wishing each other good luck tonight, or good luck at Vengeance Day. It is tonight for us, but this was on Tuesday, obviously. So good luck at Vengeance Day. And then Stephanie makes a little hint about how she's coming for Julia's title. What do you think? Anything you want to say about this?
It's inevitable. And again, you should definitely hold off on it though, because once you hit, like, it's like you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Like everybody's like, do this match now. Do this like certain matches, you cannot put a genie back in the bottle. So I am here for just waiting for the right time for them to clash. But as of right now, there's an understanding, and we're both okay with it. And I love that. Like, yeah. When it's time to go, we'll get down. But as of right now, good luck.
Andre Chase wants us to meet Uriah Connors, but he says you can't party on a school night. Kale Dixon says, I thought Chase U was dead, and Chase U says it is, but old habits die hard. I guess I have a hard time not being a teacher or a mentor or a father figure to guys that are either old and the same age. Like, wait a second, what's going on? Clearly they don't know exactly what to do with Andre Chase, as I suspected. I don't know what the long term is with Andre Chase. Honestly, I don't really care. I'm not an Andre Chase fan. I was never a big Chase U fan. I mean, it's an okay vehicle to bring new people in and shuffle them kind of in and out of Chase U as an institutional NXT faction that stays around and just has a revolving door of people that come in and then go out. And to a certain extent, that makes sense for a show like NXT. At the same time, like it doesn't do anything for me, so I don't really care. And Andre Chase doesn't move the needle for me. We'll have to see anything about Kale Dixon or Uriah Connors. I don't know anything about either of them, so I guess we'll see what ends up happening. Anything you want to say about this and Andre Chase? JCU?
So it is crazy. Like, again, when they did the whole Chase, if Chase loses, the academy goes down. It was pretty like, yeah, it gives the match stakes, but you have to think ahead. Like, wow, but if he loses, what are you gonna do with these people? Case in point, Dukas is not there anymore. He got released. So I was like, damn, got it, man. Like, I wonder, and like, this is the kind of stuff where they're like, Ricky, you didn't, like, they're like, people who like, what creative plans did they have for Ricky that he didn't approve of? I'm not going to say it will probably like something like this, but these are the kind of creative plans you have to think ahead of time. It's like, how does this benefit me in the long term, right? So I'm not sure if Andre can agree or disagree about going with the flow or not. But it's like, yeah, what do you do? Like, where's Speed Girl? That's what Chase you. What's her name? Thea Hale. Like, where's she at? I know, huh? But yeah, like, where's she at? Because she was good. She was good. Like I saw her winning the Women's North American Championship. She was that good. But you don't have anything for her now. So, I'm somewhat interested to see how they're going to turn this around. Like, is he a tutor? I don't know. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not like, yeah, what's going on next? But I'm like, all right, we'll see.
That brings us to the main event of the show, which was a North American title match in a steel cage. Ridge Holland, Anika's favorite wrestler. Just kidding, just teasing you. And Tony D, the Dawn of NXT, defending his North American Championship. Solid match. Again, this is development, and both guys are still learning. Ridge, especially, we've talked about Tony being ready for the main roster, and I truly believe that. I don't know how the Dom plays on the main roster, especially if he goes alone. We'll end up seeing what any of that looks like. But wrestling-wise, promo-wise, Tony D'Angelo, whoever he is ready to move up to the main roster. Ridge Holland, I mean, he's getting better, but he still feels a long way off from being ready. And we obviously saw him on the main roster before, and that was a bust. And that's why ultimately he's back here in NXT. He needs a lot more work. That being said, the match I thought was okay. There were a few spots where it was kind of clunky. Ridge again doesn't look great, but Tony D kind of did the best he could to carry it. Tony D ended up getting the win after using a crowbar for a shot, and then the spine buster. It was okay. The aftermath of this, and we'll get to that in just a minute after we talk about the match, but the post-match stuff to me was far more interesting than this match itself. And honestly, I hope that signals that this is the end of Ridge and Tony D. What do you think of the match before we get to the post-match stuff?
So you again, I love, if you're going to use someone, know how to use them. And I feel like with Ridge Holland, like you said, he's strong, but he doesn't know his own strength. He doesn't know how to finesse it in a smooth way. So yeah, cage match. Let's go. I do think this is the end of their feud. And again, like we talked about earlier, some stuff needs a program, and some stuff's a hit in the pudding. So I like how it's like, Tony D and this all started with Tony D and Ridge coming out for Oba's title, and then Tony got offended. Let's fight. Cage match. Boom. As a main event, it was good. It was good for a main event. This should be your main event of your show. Tony D is Tony D. Tony D is Tony D. So Tony D in the main event will always bode well. And of course, that little outside of the family being what you call opposed to each other, more so old girl who they really did invite her into the family, but we're not gonna send you swimming to the fishes just yet. But I liked all of this for a main event. It was cool.
Yeah, I mean, part of me feels like Ridge Holland shouldn't be main eventing. At the same time, if you're having a steel cage match, usually that should probably be your main event.
Yeah.
And it was a title defense, and Tony D's a big star. So it makes sense why it was the main event match. I thought the match itself could have been better, especially for a main event cage match. But again, I think, that's showing the limitations of Ridge Holland, and still, both men are ultimately still developing. Post match, the family and Ridge continue to brawl. Sean Spears does something. They come down. Nico, Spears, Jensen, Dizzy Dame, I guess, or Dizzy Dame was out there with the family at first. I'm sorry. And then the Spears comes in after Spears has been trying to recruit her, and we don't know what's going on. She's been kind of giving him the cold shoulder. She's been hanging out with the family, but not really like a part of the family per se. Her and Rizzo don't really get along all that well. And so here comes Sean Spears, and they're all in the ring. And then out of nowhere, Dizzy Dame hits Tony D'Angelo, putting him down, which shows that she has clearly decided to side with Sean Spears. She also takes out Rizzo real quick. And then the beatdown is on, and they they lock the cage, leaving Stax and Luca on the outside. And then Sean Spears and them proceed to just destroy Tony D'Angelo as the show doesn't go off the air, but it's the last basic thing we see in the ring in any way, shape, or form. So, what do you think of this little post-match beatdown session here and the stuff with Sean Spears?
We've been waiting for this. We're like, hey, this is why Izzy should be like low key. We really didn't want Izzy to be with the family. But it leads to Sean Spears in an infiltration. Yes, please, and it did, and it came out brilliantly. If we're getting a full on Spears and his group doesn't have a name, right?
Not that I know of yet.
Yeah. So you get Spears and friends versus the family. This is the elevation for Tony D. We're like Tony D's the championship. He's champion. We don't know who he's gonna face after Oba, right? This is a good next step. Like, I am excited for Sean Spears versus Tony D. This is gonna be good. I liked all of this.
Me too. I mean, we've been talking about Sean Spears walking around doing nothing essentially other than having these weird conversations with people and recruiting people, and now they're finally doing something. Now it feels like they have some direction and some sort of purpose, and I like that. It feels like they're finally getting those wheels moving on what Sean Spears and his group is going to do, and I'm here for them versus the family, and I'm definitely here for Spears versus D'Angelo. That sounds like it should be a lot of fun. I don't know if you've noticed this, but for about the last month or so, at the end of NXT, we've been getting that little bar, colored bar across the screen. It says Vengeance Day. No one really knew what it was. We see it here again for a very brief second, and then 4 mystery people complete with a skull. So, and that's
some of anarchy, like street gang. Like, what the frick is this?
Right, and so that's ultimately the last thing we saw this week on NXT. Do you have any idea what you think about the mystery people and the skull and what's going on?
No idea, and I like that. But we're gonna learn on Vengeance Day. That's gonna be insane, and I hate that I have to work. Because I feel like, in my mind, right, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I didn't put 2 and 2 that AEW Grand Slam Australia was going up against Vengeance Day. I didn't know. Right? I wasn't paying attention to that. It's like, oh, you petty bastards. So to that, I feel like you did, and then I might be hyping it up, but screw it, who cares? You did the debut of Ricky now on Vengeance Day. You did it here, so that makes me go into the direction of, oh, this is a big group. Maybe I'm overhyping it, but like I said, you're going against Collision. You did Ricky Stark's debut here not on Vengeance Day. This should be a big deal. Okay, I'll say that. This should be a big deal.
I agree. I think Vengeance Day is going to be a really good show. I think NXT at the moment is firing on all cylinders. I mean, the main event match, the in-work match in the steel cage could have been a little bit better, but the actual post-match stuff in the match, all in all, when you consider the post-match angle and everything that happened, I thought it came off well for a main event. For a show that's, developing, and all these people are still kind of figuring out what to do, and they're throwing things at the wall. So some things work and some things don't. I thought this worked. Obviously, anytime, you get Bailey on the show, it's going to be good. Bailey and Cora Jade was solid. I didn't think there was anything terrible at all this week. I thought it was very good. I thought Ricky Stark showing up was very good. I enjoyed it for a go-home show. I thought they did everything that they could do to hype up Trick and Eddie. I thought they did everything they could do to hype up Ethan and Javon. I appreciate that. I think the triple threat that's now a four-way with Cora Jade. I thought I liked it better when it was a triple threat match, but it is what it is. I think you're going to see Julia probably retain. I think Stephanie's going to get the win over Fallon Henley here and become the North American Women's Champion. And I think it should be a really good Vengeance Day. This was a very solid go-home show. I'm going to give it a B. I thought it was a solid B, maybe even a B+. I'm wavering between a B and a B+. I'll give it a B+. Because when I think about it in comparison to Raw, which we gave a B-, I thought this was, a B. I think this is a B+. Where do you stand on it?
I'm going to give it a solid B. I'm going to give it a 1 point higher than Raw because, Ricky Stark's debut. Come on. Like you said, at the go-home show for Vengeance Day, you did your job. Bailey Roxanne coming out as old school Bailey was hilarious. None of the matches sucked. Where it was just y'all are just not doing what y'all supposed to do here. So yeah, I'll give it a solid B.
It was a very promo storyline heavy show as opposed to wrestling heavy, which is fine. I mean, they only had, I think, 3 or 4 matches ultimately, which is, fine to a certain extent. But yeah, it was definitely very heavy on the storylines, the promo stuff, which, being that it's a go-home show, it works to a certain extent. So, all right, so you give it a B, I give it a B+. I'm not sure. I think maybe Sammy might have fallen asleep, but that's sure.
No. Because last night, come on, I'm going to pull all-nighter. Sir, what sense does that make? It's better. How is it better? You realize, I hope you hear, I want him up in his 3 ear files right now. Because what kind of sense does that make for you to stay out until from 8 to freaking 10 o'clock and you realize that you can stay up for the whole freaking show? Don't do this no more.
That brings us to, so like I said, you gave it a B, I gave it a B+, we both gave Raw a B-. So as of right now, NXT is currently in the lead by a small margin, but we're about to get into our third and final show of this show, which is AEW Dynamite, and Miss Anika will take us through AEW Dynamite.
All right, boys and girls, this is AEW Dynamite from last Wednesday, the 12th. Yes, the 12th. Brainwise. and we start this off with a match that maybe I haven't been paying attention, but I feel like we haven't done it in a minute. Where it's no promos, no angles. Let's just see somebody beat up on somebody and see who wins. So Matt Caster comes out with his government document saying he's the best wrestler alive, which is hilarious. It is so good for his character. And again, this shtick of you calling out random people and not knowing who they are, even though it's only been, I'm going to say 3 weeks, this has not worked out for you. I want to say this is the time he did it. The first time was Roosh. And he got the crap kicked out of him. Why are we still doing this, sir? And in case in point, the person who accepts the challenge is Hangman Adam Page. Now, crazy enough, right? The crowd was cheering him. It wasn't a yes or it wasn't divisive. No, this was babyface Hangman. Everybody was cheering Hangman, and maybe it's because Matt Caster is such a douche. Where it's we definitely know who we're cheering for. So maybe it's just that. But it was actually kind of nice to see little glimpses of old Hangman doing the whole arm up while the pyro was going off. Oh, And then, funny enough, Matt Caster leaves because who's here for what? Listen, my people, my wrestling fans, when they come in clutch, I love it. So he's trying to hide in the crowd. Hangman's taking off his coat. Like, where did he go? And all the people are pointing out, he's over here. He's over here. He's over here. You haven't had a sign. He's over here. Hangman wants to get him. They both in the ring. Ring the bell. Ding ding. You know, Max tried. He actually got some offense. A Hurricane Rana. He was with Anthony Bowens. They claim were a decent tag team. So we know he's not a scrub. But in this scenario where you think you're more than what you are, you're going to be proven wrong. So like I said, it was a nice little, little fury offense, but that ended really quickly. And Heyman did a buckshot. 1, 2, 3. Heyman wins, as he should be. A nice little opening. You're like, yeah, okay, that felt good. Any thoughts?
You know, I'm a big Max Caster fan, and I think this is fun. I really enjoy this. Now, obviously, at some point, you know, if the goal is to bury him, that's working well. If the goal is to actually try to elevate him, at some point, he's got to get some wins. You can't just let him continue to just run his mouth and get beat up. Now, don't get me wrong, that's funny, and it works well, but all it's going to do is ultimately bury him, which I feel bad for him. If that's what Tony wants to do, then I guess it's working, but I don't agree with that. I think he's extremely talented. I really enjoy him. That being said, you know, yeah, I mean, Hangman Page at this point and the way they're booked and all those things should be probably squashing him. I mean, I'd like to think he'd get a little bit more offense than that, but it is what it is. I mean, I think the consensus always was that Bowens was the better wrestler. All the way around, and Max was there for kind of the personality and the mouthpiece. So the fact that he's limited in the ring and you know, getting beat by guys that are definitely better than him, it does make sense. Again, though, if you're ultimately trying to build him up in any way, shape, or form, he does have to get some wins at some point. But I really like Max Caster. I think he's funny. I know a lot of people don't dig the whole, you know, whoever it is doing it, the whole let's, you know, rap on my way to the ring or make rapping part of my, but I enjoy it. As a hip-hop head, if it's done well, I don't mind it. And even though I know CM doesn't like Max Casper's bars, and I'm not saying he's fucking Black Thought or, you know, Eminem, but the dude is not terrible when it comes to seeing other stuff I've seen as far as rapping and wrestling. So in that regard, he's fine for the environment that he's doing it in, and better than a lot of people that have done it in that environment. So, you know, I like it, and I'm a Max Caster fan. But that being said, I understand why this went the way it did.
Yeah. So I think the scenario is, I don't think they're trying to bury him, but I think for this new stick, he definitely should be winning the first 4 matches. Like for this stick to think you broke up your team because you think you're the best wrestler alive, and it's like you definitely have to have a couple of matches to be like, no, you're wrong, and then we'll get the whole sneaky heel stick, right? But as of right now, yeah, he got to lose this for a little bit, and then we'll go back to when this is officially over, and we're on the right road. I feel like him being the sneakily heel who doesn't know how sir, you're not Hangman, you're not Osprey, right? When we establish that, then we can go back to building him up. But as of right now, this is hilarious.
It almost part of me feels like he should have like had a couple of opponents that he handpicked like for the first 2 matches that were like just total scrubs that he should have brought in and just put the, you know, just like squashed in a minute or 2 and been, see, I told you I'm the best in the world, and then have to come out and face somebody like he did here and get beat up. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a Hangman Page, and then that could have been funny.
And I kind of thought they like when he first did it, I thought that was going to happen, but like they went the other way. That's not saying it's the wrong way, but I think that would have worked too. That did work. Yeah. That would have worked too. So we'll see how this goes, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So next we have a promo package with Pretty Ricky. Last week we had Ricky Starks versus Swerve in a very tasty main event of Dynamite. And as you saw, like it started with Pretty Ricky putting a chair to Hangman's back and basically getting the win with not even a dirty move, but like the ending was Swerve went for the swerve stomp. Either Pretty Ricky got his head up or his hands up, but basically low blow Swerve, and he wins. Now he has the robe, and now it's like, oh crap. This is giving Ricky more initiative to be more in his bag of being a pompous heel. Matt Caster a heel who doesn't know his own. Matt Caster's a sniveling heel who doesn't know how bad he is, but Ricky is just that annoying guy, and not to say he can back it up to a point. So if Ricky gets a win, he's celebrating. We'll see what happens next, right? Because Ricky beating Swerve, you should have something else for him, right? Like, all right, what's next? Who's gonna what's his how this should be him building up to a championship when you beat someone like Swerve, right? So we'll see what happens next. Any thoughts on this promo package?
Ricochet's okay. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure that I think that he comes across as being totally comfortable in the heel role that he's doing. I think he's kind of growing into it a little bit. He's gotten a little bit better, but it still feels like it's not like a natural spot for him. Whereas when Swerve's a heel, it feels like that's a perfect lane for him. For whatever reason, Ricochet feels more like a babyface just in general. That's where it seems to me that should be his lane. But, we'll end up seeing what ends up happening. I mean, I'm here for Swerve and Ricochet. It is weird when it's heel versus heel. It's a little odd. And I still think Ricochet should have joined the Hurt Syndicate. But beyond that, it's fine. I mean, the match itself, you have two A+ talent wrestlers, so the match itself is going to be good. I mean, I have no doubt that the match is going to be phenomenal. At the same time, I just don't know that I'm bought in 100% to the story.
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited what happens next. Like, all right, you did the program with Swerve. It's not going to be a long break. I think they're going to have like a mini break and then come out together on the next match. But yeah, we'll see what they do with Pretty Ricky for this. All right. So next up, let me see here. We have another match. And this match got the feels going. It's a trios match for the AEW Trios Championships. We have Claudio, Yuta, and the Bastard Pack versus Undisputed Kingdom. So, if you haven't been watching Collision for the last month, they've been putting in work. They've you like when they do deals and they're like, oh, we want both shows to mean something. Sometimes you believe it. Sometimes it's like, okay, words are louder than actions. No, they've actually been putting in the work to make Collision a good show. Case in point, the trios division have been going butt crack crazy over in Collision. So I'm actually, I was very, I love this match. Again, I question why this wasn't on Grand Slam Australia, but whatever, free TV. Everyone in this match is good. Sometimes we were like, one thing is not like the other. No, everyone pulls their weight in this match, and I'm so glad for Undisputed Kingdom because last year was hard. It was hard. We were going through some storylines that wasn't working, and it's crazy to say that because we know these dudes are over. We know these dudes are good, but it was just a matter of we had to stop because someone got injured. How do we heat them back up again? And this is what I like about AEW. When in doubt, wrestle it out. Like we'll figure the character out later. But if you're great in the ring, just wrestle, and we'll get you there eventually. Case in point, this match was great. The crowd was great, and Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roddy. Just in case you forgot for a split second, yeah, we're good wrestlers. We're good wrestlers. Yeah. So I love this match more so. And then, like the trios where it was one good spot was Roddy and Kyle did a knee to the face while Adam Cole get super kick at the same time. People are like, some people are like, I didn't believe they were going to win. There were some near falls where I'm like, okay, are we changing because like the trio's title, no offense, has that been showcased? So if y'all wanted to change it up, I was not going to be, I was going to be surprised, but not 100% surprised. You know what I'm saying? But the match ends with, like I said, even though it's a 3-on-3, the writers, sorry, I'm not pulling up here. The writers have this scenario where they can manipulate a situation where it feels like it's more people because they're always in and out. So there's enough chaos where you hit the low blow, 1, 2, 3 for the win. What do you think?
If you're going to do a roll-up, that's the way to do a roll-up for the win. The low blow into the roll-up. Something preceding the roll-up that makes it make sense that person would get pinned in that moment from a roll-up like that. So in that regard, that's fine. I'm still not a big fan of the roll-up as a win, but at least that regard, it makes sense. I mean, this is fun, right? I mean, now you remember why the Undisputed Era carried NXT Black and Gold for so long and why it was the destination spot for him. And I mean, the only thing you're missing is Bobby Fish, right? So, and I mean, I'm happy to see all these guys back together again. I love these three together. Unfortunately for both Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole is the big star out of the bunch, and as long as he's around, they're really solid. When he goes away, they both kind of suffer a little. Roddy did a really, really good job with the next strong stuff and that stuff. But you can still tell that Adam Cole is the guy when you talk about that kind of group of 3 or 4 hub guys that seem to be together on a regular basis. They don't see it that way, but I think that's the way that people see it and promoters see it. So, having Adam Cole back is great for them. I'm happy to see these three together. Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, and Pac. Those are, no offense from Jon Moxley, but those are the three, wrestlers of the group. Moxley's more of a brawler, a striker kind of guy. And so it works well with the really kind of mat technical type of wrestling that the Undisputed Kingdom does. Those three guys are, mat technicians. And so to have a really good match, you got to have other guys that can really get down and wrestle, and all three of those other guys can do that. So in that regard, I really enjoyed it. This is exactly what the trios division should be. The problem that I have with this is that, and this is an AEW issue, which is this is the first time this title's been defended in 3 months. So, which I didn't really realize, but I saw that and I was like, whoa, it's been 3 months. Holy smokes. So there's no excuse for that. There really isn't, especially with as much time as the Death Riders spend on TV. So that being said, great match. I wouldn't have been mad if the Undisputed Kingdom had won here just to do something to kind of shake up the trio division a little bit, but I understand why they didn't. My question to you is, who has a better super kick, or super kick party in theory, Undisputed Kingdom or the Bucks and Omega? They're together. I mean, I've been watching old episodes of ETE and watching old matches of the Bucks and the super kick party. I mean, the super kicks that O'Reilly and Strong and Cole were hitting were pretty on point too.
Listen, you can't say that because when we were doing the Wednesday Night Wars, it was basically Undisputed Kingdom versus the Elite. So, and they both study under the tree of Shawn Michaels, either personally or through videotape. They both study under the tree of Shawn Michaels because of super kicks. I wish Sam was in the comments because why you ask me that? I'm going to go for Adam Cole. Adam Cole is the son, the kayfabe wrestling son of Shawn Michaels. So I'm going to go with Undisputed Kingdom with the super kicks. Dang it, sorry. Whatever. Okay.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was so good. Like you said, it's crazy. It's been 3 months, but this is the catalyst to start the trios back up. Go ahead. Like I said, Collision, you got more people up. Case in point, so after the match, Claudio, Yuta, and Pat was trying to beat up UDK, and here comes out brain fart. Danny Garcia and Big Daddy Magic. They got a little trio going. They're a part of this trio too. They got like I don't say a friendship, but they got a nice rapport with Undisputed Kingdom. So it's like, okay, cool. Thanks for helping us out. Go ahead. So, like I said, if this is the start of rebuilding or refocusing on the trios champion, again, the frustrating part about all of this is you have the teams, you have the trios. It's a matter of putting the focus on it. So this is the start of putting the focus back on the trios division. This is a great start. This was so good. All right.
Yeah, overall, I enjoyed it, and I liked seeing. I mean, they're when you're talking about trios and you're having to rank trios, unfortunately Daniel Garcia and 2.0 are a little bit farther down the list than the two that are in the ring for this match. At the same time, you gotta have bodies, you gotta have people to lose matches at times. And I'm not saying they're only there to do that because they're solid on top of that, but I'm just saying it makes sense. You're right, and I'm happy to see the trios division getting rewarmed up again, which is what it looks like we're doing. So
yes, please. Okay, now. This was a nice little injection spot of this rivalry. We have Moxley and Rhea Shafir entering the building, and they get jumped by Jay White and Adam Copeland. They're like, you know what? We had about enough of this. I'm not sure they deal with Marina, but they basically was choking out Moxley, took the briefcase and ran. And it's like, yes! Let's have some fun. Again, Collision, I'm not sure what the conversation was, but they're like, you know what? People aren't really into our feud. We gotta do something. Let's just randomly beat each other up and randomly take stuff and randomly just jump each other. And it's working. I love this. I love it. I love this on-site mentality. So, and this is going to be a thread throughout the whole show. So I love this. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is right on par and on script for the Death Riders. This is what they should be doing. Or for, Jay White, for this feud, let's put it that way. For these guys, for Adam Copeland and Jay White to steal the briefcase, it helps hype it up. This is exactly kind of where the story should be going. We'll see later in the ring. I'm not sure that it all played out perfectly in the ring later, but we'll get to that. But this little segment in a vacuum, I thought worked well. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was, like I said, sometimes you just need some more excitement and fun in wrestling, and this was excitement and fun, so I love this.
I have my mixed feelings about Adam Copeland and Jay White being a team, but beyond that,
we will talk about that later, because the same. I think they're on the same mind wave, but whatever. Next, all right. Next up, so MJF is doing a backstage interview before his match with Dustin Rhodes, and Hangman is on his. Hangman was trying to be on his heel-ish and try to bully MJF. Get out now! This is my review. Go! And it's like, sir, okay, look, you're the hanger, right? You're the hanger. You should be feared, but that is MJF. Like that's no scrub. Like usually when Hangman does this, it's someone who he knows he can beat, someone who is 2 levels below him. Like that's MJF. Like I get it. Maybe you're on an adrenaline rush, but at least this leads to finally popping the cherry. Because I don't know how else to say it. Because we've been teasing MJF and Hangman for a minute, and we're like, how is this going to pop off? How are we going to start this rivalry? And we somewhat officially started with this. And this is when MJF is prime MJF. Me personally, I don't need you bringing up real life struggles just to get someone ticked off. But this, come on, sometimes like, sir, why are you bringing up my mama just to beat me? It feels over the top. But this felt really good, where he was just like, he starts slowly with Hangman talking, why are you so obsessed with me? Why are we doing this? And he's like, all right, but you want to get to the real? He's like, what you doing right now? This ain't you. He's like you wish it was basically being a dangerous man who doesn't give a crap about people's feelings, and just like this isn't you, and you know it isn't you. I'm the real double, basically. He's like, it's like you let your feelings down for 1 second, and that's why you're not going to do what I'm going to do before you, which basically become a 2-time AEW champion. And it's just like, and it's like basically, you think you pull the last trigger, but you can't. And like, see you later. And like, see you later. It's like, stop doing this to Hangman. That y'all know he got emotional problems. Stop playing with his emotions, y'all. Like, whoever it is, just stop. Leave him alone. He just wants. I feel like he's like, I just want to wrestle, but y'all keep playing with me. I'm tired of y'all playing with me. Renee tries to ask him a question, but he was like, usually he's a little rough with Renee. He's like, no, not. He's actually thinking about what MJF said. Like I said, this was a great start to what is going to be a. I know it's a little early to say this, but with certain people, you already know this is going to be a good feud, right? Any thoughts?
I mean, I thought this was solid. I mean, I'm a big MJF fan. I'm a Hangman Page fan. Obviously this leads into Dustin Rhodes' match later with Hangman Page, which what was I going to say? Which I am here for. I like Dustin a lot. So all the way around, I thought this was good. But yes, no, a feud between Hangman and MJF is going to be very fun. I'm definitely interested in that. I'm here for all of that. And the MJF is where he's very solid, right? And it's not necessarily Page is a good talker, but it's not necessarily where his wheelhouse per se. He's a much more kind of in the ring, let my action show than my words. Whereas MJF is equally as much a talker as he is, show you in the ring kind of guy, if not more of a talker.
Right.
But yeah, no, I thought this came off really well, and this should be a very fun feud in the future. So, it kind of overshadowed the Dustin stuff, which is fine. I mean, to a certain extent, Dustin is what he is at this point in his career.
Right.
But, it definitely took the shine away from this match that's coming up. So, in that regard, it is what it is, but whatever.
We'll talk about it later. But so the match isn't happening just yet. We have another fun trios match. We have my favorite trio, Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata versus 3 guys, but one guy in particular that I actually love. The dude. So a couple of years ago, no, Han Solo, someone else, and more so a dude. Samoa Joe was facing a squash match, right? The dude did walk away spot, right? And then, Samoa Joe's walk away spot. But this dude, when Samoa Joe walked away, he did the best thing where he was like, "Where you going?" while he was falling on the floor. So that was the best one. And I love that commentary brought it up. Where it's like him and Samoa Joe had a feud, although Samoa Joe doesn't know it yet. So I love that. That was hilarious. But of course, this was a squash match, but it should be because it's Shibata, Hook, and Joe. But it was still fun nonetheless. Samoa Joe, I'm not like he's in a category where he's already over. And he can do whatever he wants, and it will get over. Like it's crazy. And it's crazy because you think, oh, every veteran has that. No, not really. Like if you go to like Adam Copeland and Christian, they had to find their shtick when they got to AEW. You know what I'm saying? But Samoa Joe, it really is. I'm gonna just be Samoa Joe, and it's gonna be entertaining. And it really is like right there to that point. So they beat the dudes, and Samoa Joe gets on the mic, and yeah, Samoa Joe can do it all. So we have a name for this trio, and it's called the Ops. I love it. I'm like, yep, okay. Samoa Joe can by himself calling himself the Ops, and that'll be fine. But him, Shibata, and Hook, I'm like, okay, yep. I'm gonna buy into it. I love it. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite trios. I mean, I'm here for this. Joe is the guy. I love Shibata. Hook, I've been kind of critical of in the past, but he's with the right guys now to be teaching him all the things he needs to
Exactly.
learn. So I hope to see a steep upward trajectory soon here. That being said, yeah, Joe is great. Joe is that dude. Joe doesn't have to do anything to get over but show up, right? And
Right?
as long as he shows up, he's over. And so it doesn't matter whether that's TNA, AEW, WWE, it doesn't matter. Wherever Samoa Joe is that dude. So uh, it doesn't surprise me that he's, as over as he is all the time. And post match, he's a great promo. I thought he said the same thing twice in a row. He said, we always have a problem and we're the solution. And then he said the exact same thing, just in a basically different way, the second sentence, which is fine. It is what it is. Not everything's always going to come off perfect. The Ops. It's not the worst name I've ever heard by far.
It is not the worst name. It is not.
It's definitely not the best name I've heard by far either. At the same time, let me just say this, and I say this a lot, and I'm going to say it one more time here. I'm glad I'm not the one backstage having to try to make these decisions or come up with names, because this shit is hard. Like, I don't know what to call them either. I don't have a thing. I mean, I don't have any solution that would be better than the Ops. I just, when I hear it, I think, okay, it's all right. It's not terrible, but it's mid, okay. It feels like they could do better. At the same time, like I said, I don't have any better options. I can't think anything better. So I'm just glad I'm not the one having to do that. So, but no, I'm here for everything Joe, Hook, and Shibata for sure, and I'm definitely here for them versus the Patriarchy. That should be a lot of fun.
It's crazy to think, even though Hook has been facing Christian Cage, right? It feels like this is a whole brand new rivalry since Joe been in here. I know it's weird to say, but it does feel it feels brand new, and I'm here for Christian versus Joe, because they're both veterans of this game, and they're just, again, some people can just come together and it's going to be fun, and this already has been a good time. So like you said, so at the end, calls him the Ops. He calls out Christian Cage, talking about he was like, this could have been bad. This could have been all settled. And you would just take your butt like a man, but because you're a chicken coward, and then the crowd yells that, and Joe think he can do whatever he wants, he can. I'm like, really? This is what we're doing? He's like, how about we see you on Collision / Australia, you three versus us three, and if you're men enough, come too. I'm like, I like it's so, like, yeah, sometimes it's just simple and I love it. And so yeah, I'm pretty sure they're gonna have that for Australia. It should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Hook and Christian doesn't really do a whole lot for me, but Christian and Joe does, right? So
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's the difference. I mean, I understand that Hook and Christian have been kind of going around and around, but it hasn't been very interesting, honestly. And I think that's just because Hook is what he is. He's still developing, he's still learning all those kinds of things. And Joe is what he is, right? Anything Joe touches, in my opinion, basically turns to gold. And so him and Christian is really the draw, even though they're both well past their primes, right? It's still the draw. So
it's like, even though I feel like when you're a veteran, right, you can't be who you were back in the day. You have to reinvent yourself, or either stay the course, right? And for Joe, he stayed the course. He has not gone down by any stretch of imagination. And Christian Cage, being patriarchy, that change has been so freaking good. Side note, if you have not watched Collision, I can't express to you how fun Collision is. The segment where Joe was hunting down the patriarchy, and Hook was like, "Look, what did you tell me? If you attack with your emotions in check, without your emotions in check, you're gonna succeed." He's like, "I'm sorry." So they get ready. They go into the room. Christian's not there, but Nick and what's his name? Chris Sabin is there. They beat them up. Christian peeps into, Christian Cage peeps into the door. He didn't help nobody. He leaves, and then when Joe and Cook leaves, he comes around the corner. What happened? Like, those little things makes this so much fun, and it's so much hilariousness. So I'm not sure if it's a one-off or not, but you can do two. You can do pay-per-view. You can do two pay-per-views with this. I'm not like Australia do the trios match. Revolution do Joe versus Christian Cage.
Yeah.
All right. So next up on my notes here. There we go. So there you go. So we have a New York minute. Like I said, Collision. We had Desperado versus Brian Keith. That was entertaining. Like that was entertaining through wrestling. Now, one of the great points was it was like, and then like this, it was so good because Brian Keith been this whole angry black, basically, I would say angry black man in the Jericho learning tree, right? But but he was facing Desperado for the bounty, right? So he's like, hold up, if I'm facing Desperado, I gotta be the bounty hunter. So he comes out on Collision with the bounty hunter gear, and it's like, yes, this how if we're gonna do this match, me versus Desperado, this is how it's supposed to be. And I loved it. And then there was one part in the match, they were kicking the crap out of each other, and they're like, what else we're gonna do? And it's like this moment was so cool. They're back to back, they look at each other, they just nod. 10 paces. 1, 2, 9, 10. Basically quick draw, old school Western like something. They turn, they just launch at each other with kicks to the face. It's so, and because it's Desperado versus the bounty hunter, it made sense. It was so good. So fast forward to Dynamite. Chris Jericho is like, Brian, he was a little softer with Brian than what's his name? Big Bill about not being someone. He was a little soft. He was like, Bad Apple, it's okay that you lost. We're gonna learn from this, we're gonna grow. So tonight I'm gonna challenge you, Desperado, to a face-off. Jericho leaves, and of course, in classic Brian Keith notion, Renee is the one who brought it up. But he goes about, don't you disrespect me in front of Jericho like that again. It's like, I love you. And I'm happy to see people realize the reason why we love Brian Keith, because he is entertaining. And then I'm just going to the next. I'm just going to the next segment where basically, yeah, it's Chris Jericho and Desperado. They try to like some stuff, just leave it where it is. Where I'm like, they had that moment on Collision, it made sense. It was good for the match. It was great. Chris Jericho trying to recreate it with a spotlight in the ring, and you having a cowboy hat on. You're not even doing 10 paces. You lost count. It's like, don't, sir, stop trying to vote. Stop trying to snatch your moments away. You can't recreate that. They tried and it failed because you're not cool, Jericho. That wasn't your moment to recreate. That's just me. But Brian Keith is there to stop Desperado. They jump Desperado. What's his name? Desperado gets the upper hand, but Big Bill comes out, wrecks shop. He's gonna collect the bounty. But Powerhouse Hobbs comes out and basically what's his name? Spine Busters, Big Bill, and that is still going on. Big Powerhouse Hobbs and Desperado stand tall. I'm here for that. I'm still like, it really does feel like, I'm not sure who gave the sign. I'm not sure who gave the nod, but it feels like they're like, even though it's technically Learning Tree versus Powerhouse Hobbs and Desperado, Big Bill versus Hobbs should be by themselves. And I love that it feels like they're by themselves. Whereas like, once we get this match official, it will be little to no Jericho influence, which I love. So it was an all right segment. I like that Hobbs and Desperado stood tall. Any thoughts on all of this? Sorry, I went long.
That's okay. The only thought I have is it's actually Bandito, not Desperado, but I didn't want to interrupt
my
didn't
fault.
want to interrupt your train of thought. So
yes,
but
Bandito,
beyond, No, I didn't see the collision match, but Bandito, has a reputation, and his reputation precedes him. He's a phenomenal wrestler. Brian Keith is also a phenomenal wrestler. I want to go back and watch that.
Please go.
Um,
It's a must
you know,
watch.
I've been critical of the Learning Tree. I'm extremely critical of Jericho. I do like the fact that Brian Keith and Big Bill get the rub from being on TV just by being with Chris Jericho at the same time. For years we've talked now about the Jericho Vortex, and it's just another example of it. The idea that that Brian Keith can't get it done, so Chris Jericho has to come in and show him how to do it. I'm not a big fan of that. But I guess it is what it is. I mean, to a certain extent, this is the Learning Tree, and Brian Keith and Big Bill are learning from Chris Jericho. So I guess, Brian Keith couldn't get the job done, so Chris Jericho is going to teach him how to get the job done. I suppose that's the theory behind it. I'm not necessarily a big fan of it. In my opinion, even though they're getting a rev, neither of them, Big Bill or Brian Keith, although Big Bill a little bit more, but neither of them is getting enough shine off of this to really make it, in my opinion, worthwhile of being stuck in the Jericho Vortex. So originally I was hoping they would, but now I'm not sure that I think it's worth it. And, Bandito and Jericho don't do anything for me. Bandito and Brian Keith do a lot for me. Bandito and Big Bill do something for me. Big Bill and Powerhouse Hobbs do a lot for me. This was kind of a big mess, though, to a certain extent. It was just kind of a big clusterfuck, and in that regard, I guess it is what it is. You get a bunch of guys on TV, so that's fine. But, I don't know. It felt messy and kind of disorganized in some respects to me. But it's like you're trying to touch on 3 or 4 different feuds in one little segment, and it's a little too much. But, again, it is what it is. When especially now that you've taken away Dark Elevation and Rampage, you really only have 2 shows. So you got to get these guys time when you can. And I suppose this gets all these guys on TV. So.
Nope, understandable. So then we have another whole lot of backstage segments, but they all matter. So Renee Paquette is interviewing Willow. Where the freak Willow's been? I'm like, my Willow's been gone for too long, but evidently in a month or so. Yep, say it again. Yeah, where's she been? She hasn't been hurt. Whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. So my friend, right? So I was asking my friend the other day. We were talking about this show, me and my friend, and I was telling him that regularly AEW Dynamite is the show that gets the win most often on Winner's Circle. And he was saying that for him, Dynamite and AEW as a whole feels like it's really down at the moment. And I was like, well, why do you say that? And he said, it feels like when they don't have something for someone, they just kind of disappear for a while. They'll just disappear 3, 6, 9 months, a month, 2 months, and you just no explanation, no whatever. And this is another one of those situations. Like, you're right. Where has Willow been? Why has she been gone for a month? Why? There's nothing, and we don't know anything about what's going on and why she hasn't been around. And that's fine. Like, people have their own lives and stuff. You don't have to tell us everything, and maybe it's a personal thing. Who knows? I don't know. But it's weird to not have really any explanation. Like, it's
like, if it's not personal and you just don't have anything for her, that's dumb.
That's a crime. That's a crime.
Yeah.
If that's the issue. If you don't have anything for her, then that's the issue. If she's gone away, then say, Willow, do something storyline wise to put her out for a month or 2 if she's going to go away on a personal level, or do, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just let people just disappear. Like, I mean, you can't, and then bring them back and expect them to just be where they were at. Like, that's not realistic. So.
Yeah, but no, I was so happy to see my Willow. So Renee's interviewing her, saying in a month you'll be in Japan. What are you gonna do? Before Willow gets 3 words out, Marina just comes in, wrecks shops, chokes Willow out, freaking toss her into one of the little equipment things. And I love Renee, where even though we know that she knows about the Death Riders, right? So Renee just yelled out, Marina! It's like, and then her man, Moxley, comes in. Like, rightfully, like, it wasn't Willow's fault. But I can see why they're both pissed. You just got jumped. So Moxley's like, okay, So you pissed me off. Now you're going to regret it. And so here's the hunt to get the briefcase back. I love a good thread line where I don't need a big segment. If you just give me like three 2-minute segments behind stage, that really pulls a show together. So I love this. Any thoughts?
No, I mean, obviously continuing the storyline. I mean, that's, one of the things that we are critical about is storylines that don't make sense or things that don't make sense and drop storylines and those kind of things. So, I mean, you do run the risk of things getting stale and boring if you do it too much and they're on too often, which, the Death Riders for me is an interesting thing because on this episode of Dynamite, they did a really good job, I thought, in my opinion, of keeping them feeling fresh and okay and not stale and boring. But as an overall whole, the whole Death Riders separation from BCC and them has become not stale, but just a little boring to a certain extent. And so, I mean, which is weird to say, but this felt more exciting to me. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this. I thought this felt good.
Yeah. All right, and then we finally get a little promo from Dustin Rhodes before his match with MJF, and so he's like, Texas, like we're in Texas, so this is if we're going to do this match, like this is the place to do it. Sorry, nope, I'm back. So, sorry, little auntie work. Yeah. So Dustin hypes it up. He's like, I'm gonna prove what I am the last of my kind. Then we finally get the match, right? And Dustin Rhodes is a very unique. He's in a unique situation, right? Where he is wrestling better than was when he was younger, right? But you are still old. So you go. I said to say this. So having MJF take this long to beat Dustin, or and then or Dustin having this is a 50-50 match. It's like it's still weird. Like, I'm sorry, you're not Sting, you're not Triple H, you're not The Rock, you're Dustin Rhodes. So people having a hard time beating you. It's not a hard concept, but it is like it's that kind of concept.
On his name, that's Dustin Rhodes.
You know that sounded weird when you said "count out your mouth." You know that sounded weird when you said it. It's like it's Dustin Rhodes. Okay, it's Dustin Rhodes. Oh, okay, yeah. So, but it was a good match. I will say it was a good match. Not to re-bring it up, but I do feel bad for Jeff Jarrett because it feels like everyone has an off promo, and it does feel like we just stopped with Jeff Jarrett versus MJF, and it's like y'all could at least have you didn't have to have the match on Grand Slam or Revolution. You could have had a match on Dynamite and be done with it. So I do feel a little bad for MJF, but hey, so goes life. That's it. This was a good match. However you think it should have gone, this was entertaining. MJF does win through the salt of the earth. Dustin Rhodes does not tap out; he just passes out. After that, Dustin Rhodes does not. I'm sorry, MJF does not let go of the arm, and here comes Hangman in the brawling suit. Right before we get to the aftermath, how you feel about the match?
Dustin's such a weird situation for me because when I say what I'm about to say, I really truly mean it, but it's only my opinion. I truly believe that when you look at Dustin Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes, Dustin is the second best for me. Dusty being number one, Dustin number two, and Cody being number three. That's just my personal opinion. I'm a huge Dustin Rhodes fan. At the same time, I'm acutely aware of the fact that he's never been as over as Cody Rhodes is right now, or as over as his dad ever was. So I get that. He's definitely, in the scheme of things in his career, when it's all said and done, he's going to have the smallest career impact-wise, the least of the three. I'm a big Dustin Rhodes fan. even being a big Dustin Rhodes fan, I'm aware of the fact that he's 55 years old, and that really against the guy that's going to be, whether you like MJF or not, whether you agree with him, what all those things, at the fact that he's 26 years old or 27 years old, he is going to be carrying that company for the next 10 to 15 years, probably. And the fact that he is spending 12 minutes and having as hard a time getting over Dustin Rhodes at this point as he is not the greatest look for MJF as far as the wrestling skill goes.
It's
I know
weird.
it still makes Dustin look strong and good, which I'm here for. At the same time, we also know Dustin's 55 years old and that he's not what he once was. And even when he once was, he probably wasn't on the level of MJF. So, you know, in that regard, it probably should have been about 7 minutes and should have been a much more heavily dominated MJF match. But, you know, the one thing I like about Tony Khan is I love and hate this about Tony, which is that he has guys that he's nostalgic about and that he likes, and he's a wrestling fan. And I feel like a lot of times he feels about things similar to the way I do about some people. And I think he's a Dustin Rhodes fan. I think he's nostalgic for Dustin Rhodes and what he was as Stardust or Goldust, I'm sorry. And, you know, just in the past. And I think he wants to give him a good goodbye and still give him a chance to do what he does. And so he wants to make him look good. And at the same time, it doesn't help MJF, which is really where at this point your chickens, you know, your eggs should be in the MJF basket when it comes to MJF and Dustin, because MJF's the future and Dustin is by far the past. So in that regard, yeah, it should have been more one-sided, but it was a good match.
Yep. He said it's just weird. It's just weird. You're not saying that Dustin Rhodes can't do these matches, but should he be doing it with MJF people? That's the question. But
Right.
So in the match, MJF wants to basically break Dustin Rhodes' arm, and here comes Hangman Adam Page, and it's like, oh, so we're doing this right now. Let's go. MJF's a punk. He go back away. Then he's gonna go behind, but basically charge at Hangman when he's off his game. The brawl ensues. The brawl is great. The brawl goes into the crowd. It was kind of scary because they were at a place where it's like, okay, are y'all gonna go off? Not off the ramp, but like the raft, like, yeah. Are y'all gonna go over the rafter? Because they were kind of leaning like, hey, I get y'all want this to go over. You ain't got to unalive each other to do so. Like, get back away from the rafter. Like I said, so it was great. I believe the security finally got them apart, and MJF is just loving up all the hill he's getting. He grabs a fan's beer and puts it in his face. Like, okay, all right. So MJF came back from his filming, right? It felt like he really didn't have anything to sink his teeth into to make him feel like the old MJF. This feels like, I think AEW, I think you're frozen. But this feels like this is all right. This is old MJF. When I say old, I mean, okay, MJF has something to stick his teeth into. Now we're in his bag. And I'll say this, when we're in MJF's bag, it's very much so it's entertaining as hell, right? So they break apart, MJF gets back into the ring, gets a mic, and he's like, like Hangman's too much of a pump to actually face me and in the ring. And so cue the music. Heyman's like, oh, bet. No, so sorry, there was no music. Cue Hangman just charging right back into the ring to beat the crap out of MJF. And again, this, like I said, it feels like when in doubt, get Hangman. Hangman he is jumper cables for anybody who needs to reheat up their career. Case in point, Swerve. he like Swerve versus Hangman. That like immediately. Oh, now Swerve should win the title. Hangman versus MJ. Hangman versus Moxley instantly. They both heat each other up in that scenario, but I loved it. Now it's Hangman versus MJF. All right, now we're getting classic MJF. MJF back in his bag. This is going to be fun as hell. Your thoughts? Oh, I can't. I can see you. I can't hear you. I hear something. Try talking. I still can't hear. I still can't hear you. Yo, I still can't hear you. Nope, still can't hear you. I can hear it like you going you plugging in your headphones, but that's it. All right, so I'll talk a little longer because I know you have thoughts on this. If need be, you can just unplug your headphones if you need to. But like I said, for this robbery, it should be 3 matches. You talk about the ones that are nope, still can't hear you. You talk about the rivalries that are hitting and quitteds. This should be 3 matches. This should go into the summer, in my opinion. So I can't wait. Nope, I still can't hear you. I still can't hear you. All right, I'm gonna keep going, but don't worry. I'll come. I know you want to talk about it. I will go back to it. All right. So after that, here come the ladies. Ladies. Sorry, we have Megan Bayne doing her. I want to say this is her debut match on Dynamite. She was in the Casino Battle Royale. This is basically her debut one-on-one match. Yeah, basically a squash. Her finisher is the F5, and she does it quite well. She is one of them thick chicks that like she's a powerhouse. Oh, that's stupid. Basically, yeah. Megan Bayne is one of them thick chicks who's a powerhouse, and so she's very strong. I love the whole mystique of her of the what you call it the presentation wise, and it feels like they want her to be a big staple in the women's division. And I think that's definitely going to happen. Like I said, it was a squash match, but here comes right after Statlander, and they have a cute little face off. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm here for that. Then you get Statlander versus Penelope Ford. This isn't a squash match. This is more competitive, but because Penelope Ford. Not sure how we're going to get her over, but she deserves to have a nice, decent run. But in this instance, Statlander she wins, and then after she wins, Megan Bayne comes back out and attacks Statlander. I think Penelope Ford helps her out, so I'm not sure Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne are a team, but we're definitely going to get Megan Bayne versus Statlander, and that should be hella fun. Can you talk now? Nope, I can't. Dang it, can't hear you. Nope. Yeah. So, don't keep working on it. All right. Say something. I can hear your headset, but I can't hear you. Okay. All right. So now, and then we have a video promo / vignette. You just see purple hair and the CEO. It is the talented Harley Cameron with her Mercedes Moné puppet, and she's doing a rap. And I'm pretty sure she probably did an interview with Renee Paquette. I probably got to look it up, but I need more backstory because this chick is talented. Like, we're talking about Matt Caster. I think Matt Caster raps bad because it's part of his gimmick. Harley Cameron doing this diss track to Mercedes Moné was good. I'm not sure who helped her out with the beat and everything, but it was so freaking good. But I love most that after the song wasn't long, and she actually sat on a stool and she got real serious. And she was like, "Look, I know that I'm a rookie, but every time I get in that ring, I get better and better and better. And I am so glad that I'm going to be in my hometown facing Mercedes Moné, and I'm coming for your championship." He's like, "I don't want to ride the money train. I want to drive it. Kill the wrath." I'm like, we saw when Harley came in with Saraya. And I'm not sure what happened to Saraya where she's by herself, but I am so happy that she's like, you can. I love that. We all love to see the transformation. We all love to say we were there from the beginning. I'm so like, this feels like you took the reins off of Harley Cameron, and she's a star. I love her. Now, should she be beating Mercedes? I'm gonna say no right now. But if you want to run this back, heck yeah. Run that back, because yeah, she should be winning something. Not sure what title she should be winning, but she definitely needs gold. I know she's still a rookie, because I'm all for not rushing people, but yeah, I love her. All right. So next up, we have our main event match. Oh, beforehand, we have Adam Copeland and Jay White teasing that they have the briefcase. And Jay White is so smooth with his New Zealandness, where he's like, "Look, you've been trying to dodge us, and you're trying to cover up the most prestigious title in wrestling history, and we got it now. And we're gonna use this as leverage, basically." And then Adam Copeland, God bless you, sir, but you are not as cool as Jay White. Like, he made a comment like, "Oh, I used to carry a couple of these." You don't know about that. I'm like, sir, you're in AEW, and I'm not saying don't forget about your past career, but it was a little lame. And so basically, all in all, they're like, "Hey, if you want this back, all you gotta do is show up in the ring at the end of the night." It was, again, I love Jay White, and in my mind, they're going to do Jay White versus Moxley. If that's not a singles match, I'm gonna be very, very highly pissed off. So I'm gonna wait and see. But that should definitely be a singles match.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, holy shit!
All right. So first things first, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on Heyman and MJF. Go.
I'm very excited for it. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Both guys are, for all intents and purposes, the future of AEW, right? I mean, Hangman's still, 29, 30, so he's still very young. And, we talked about MJF, earlier with his Dustin match. So, no, I mean, like you said, this should be a lot of fun, and it's taken a long time to get here, but at the same time, you can't just do everything right away, right? So these guys, wrestlers are in a company and they circle each other for a while, and they're doing different stuff, and at the same time, ultimately, that they're going to have to come together at some point, and these are two of those guys, and so now here we finally get it. So 5 years of kind of being in and out of each other's worlds and those kind of things, just floating around each other, and now finally we're going to get it. So no, I'm here for it. I mean, it should be a lot of fun. Two of the better wrestlers, on AEW, and so it should be a lot of fun. I'm definitely here for it.
Yes, please. All right. Any thoughts on the women matches? Megan Bain, Statlander, Penelope Ford.
Unfortunately, I have thoughts on everything, right? No, Megan Bain always looks great. I like Megan Bain. She looks great. So I'm here for that. I'm a Statlander fan. Her and Statlander should be a hell of a hoss fight. I'm definitely here for that. I don't know where Penelope Ford falls in, whether her and Megan Bayne are actually, going to be something together, or whether this was just a one in the moment thing because they're both, anti Chris Statlander at the moment. So either way, I'm fine for it. But yeah, Statlander and whatchamacallit should be a lot of fun. Megan Bayne, so I'm here for that. I'm here to see what Megan Bayne can do. Penelope Ford is what she is. I think she's fine, but for me, she's definitely mid-card talent, and that's fine. We'll see. Yeah, I thought this was fine.
All right, and then finally, the Harley Cameron promo for Hair versus Mercedes. It was so good. I want to hear your thought.
As a hip hop person, I know that a lot of people give, people take issue with white people in hip hop in general, right? I mean, it is what it is, So at the same time, hip hop is now become a worldwide phenomenon, and unfortunately, it's as much as it is the voice of a movement, it's not necessarily exclusive or inclusive, just to Black people, right, in that regard. So everybody listens to music, everybody likes what they like, and by default, especially as someone that grew up in really the hip hop era. I mean, I was born when hip hop was basically getting its feet wet, and I grew up with hip hop, and the evolution of that. It's good to see all the inclusion, and I like to see women especially get involved, and I like Harley Cameron. I think she's good, and I like to see the Kendrick Lamar's the halftime show. I like to see, even though it's Max Caster, even though it was John Cena 10 years ago or 15, 20 years ago, however long it was now, even though it's Harley Cameron and it might not be the best representatives of it, it's still that influx of hip hop culture, which I like. And so in that regard, I'm here for it. And it might not be the culture that everybody else likes. Maybe Dr. Umar doesn't like this culture, or Lord Jamar doesn't agree with it being part of the culture. But, the reality is like it or not, to a certain extent it is, right? And so, I'm here for it. And I thought, if you want to talk about who can rap better, clearly Harley Cameron sounded much better than Max Caster's ever sounded. So, she showed a little bit of actual skill. I mean, I was having a harder time following her bars because they were a little faster, and the accent kind of made it a little bit whatever. But she's got the flow. She was on, she was on point and that kind of stuff. So, and I like Harley Cameron, especially these last two segments, the one where she was playing the guitar the last time and sang the song, and now this one, like showing those other little parts of her. And I love the kind of teasing Mercedes and that kind of stuff. So no, I like it. I think Harley Cameron's a lot of fun. I was very not necessarily in her corner in the beginning, but now she's definitely grown on me. In these last two promos, I'm definitely here for. So I think she's going to get squashed out by Mercedes. I mean, I don't think it's going to be much of a match, but the promos have been fun.
Like I said, I'll say by the end of the year, she should be ready to get gold. Like if y'all want to run, like I'm here for running this back. I'll just say that I'm here for running this feud back.
Yeah.
All right. And now to our main event match, we have Hurt Syndicate versus the Ass Boys. This was a good brain fart. What do you want to say? There you go. I was kind of like, why are they not back with Jay White just yet? But I actually like no offense, Austin and Cole by themselves, they've been all right, but they definitely needed someone else to help to lift them up. That being said, this being the Hurt Syndicate's first feud after they won the titles, I think was a good choice. This was a good match. They didn't try to put any extra stank on it. I love, like last week, they're just like, hey, let's do business. Like Austin just came in the ring, man to man. Y'all are businessmen. Let's do business. We never got a rematch. We want a rematch for the titles. They're like, all right, bet. And in the ring wise, they were like, Billy Gunn is not no slouch. So they've been trained by the best. So this was a very, very good match. And, of course, Hurt Syndicate should win. But, when it comes to title reigns, we know how important the first one is and how important the first one it sets the tone for the reign, right? This was a good first match for Hurt Syndicate, and I didn't have any problems with this. I still think that the Ass Boys and Jay White should get back to the Gun Club, but them being by themselves versus Hurt Syndicate, I'm not mad at all. Any thoughts?
I mean, obviously, the Hurt Syndicate has to have some people to beat up on, and it is what it is. I mean, this being the main event of a Dynamite left me a little lacking. I mean, I like the Hurt Syndicate, but Bobby Lashley is not what I would call a tag team wrestler, and not that it shows per se, but it's not as fluid as when you have two guys that have been wrestling a long time as a tag team, like Shelton Benjamin's doing with other guys in his career, and has the ability to be when it's with somebody that's a really fluid tag team wrestler and that has a lot of experience with that. So in that regard, it is what it is. The Ass Boys main eventing or the Guns main eventing, I don't think that's necessarily where they belong at this moment in time, especially not just coming back, especially not with Jay White and without Jay White and Juice. That being said, they do have the ability to be a solid tag team in AEW. But I think they're like middle of the pack. They're probably top end of the mid card, lower end of the main event card, depending on who's in your main event picture as far as tag teams go. I mean, when I start thinking about the best of the best tag teams, there's definitely a difference there. So that being said, I thought they did okay. They looked good. They always look better, and they've got down the entertainment side of it. They just need to be better on the athletic side of it and the wrestling side of it. They both talk well. They both look the part. They both have the swagger, the charisma, the wrestling style. They've learned well from their dad, who has all that stuff. Billy Gunn's a better wrestler than both of them are. So maybe they'll get better. We'll see. But at the same time, they're not young either. So maybe they are what they are. They're not old, but they're not young. Maybe they are what they are. I don't know. In a vacuum, it wasn't terrible. But for like AEW, for a show like Dynamite, this feels a little underwhelming for a main event, and especially when it's your go home Dynamite before AEW, Grand Slam Australia, which you're hyping as a big show. And when I'm hearing a lot of chatter in the interwebs about just AEW being down. And if that's the case, this for a main event isn't necessarily helping you. I don't think. I mean, not when you think about all the other people that you could put in a main event situation, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. Like I said, I think it was a good choice. This even was a main event match. It wasn't the main event segment, so I'll give a little grace to that. But I get you try from. Again, I think not sure when, but the Gun Club needs to get back together. I need Jay like the Ass Boys when what's his name? Juice Robinson. Yeah, got it. When Juice Robinson gets better, definitely bring he's the glue. But yeah, they definitely need to get it together because they have something magical there, and there's still meat on the bone for that. All right, so main event segment. We have Adam Cole and Jay White with the briefcase coming down to the ring. They're like, they made the challenge to Moxley to come out to come get it beforehand. Adam Copeland asked the crowd, "Hey, y'all want to see we haven't seen the world title in a minute. Y'all want to see it?" Like, yeah. All right, so let me bring out my friend. Her name is Spike. Throw off to what was Abyss's Janice, which is basically a 2x4 with a bunch of little nails. But before he swings, Moxley comes out. He's like, "You think I don't care about this title because I have it in a briefcase? Like, I care more about than you ever will know. Every time I challenge or competed for that title, it's taking a piece of my soul." And so he's like, and y'all deserve to see it. So he's out there. Basically, Adam Cole doesn't care. No. So, but basically, Adam Copeland, I keep saying Cole. My apologies. Adam Copeland says, "Hey, if you want this back, you just gotta accept my challenge for Revolution." And so Moxley's like, "Because I'm too much of a nice guy. Fine, you have your title match." And so we're getting Moxley versus Copeland at Revolution. That would not be real life. I would have rather them do this in Australia and be done with it. Because like I said, I think the party is with Jay White. Don't know why you're making me wait for it, but whatever. So he agrees to the match in Revolution, but Adam Copeland. He actually starts hitting the briefcase, and Moxley is kind of weary about getting in the ring with him, but he didn't really do it 100%. Pat tries to sneak and get it, but he gets caught red-handed, and then the Death Rider shenanigans ensue, where they play a numbers game, and no. Yuta comes charging in. He gets hit with a Blade Runner. And when Pat tries to get the briefcase, Moxley hits Adam Cole from behind, and Marina, she gets out of dodge. But Adam Copeland has a 2x4, so the numbers game should not work, and it didn't. So they take out Claudio, Yuta, and Pac. The D Riders retreat. No. Adam Copeland and Jay White get out of the ring. They're on the ramp. Jay White gets on the mic. He's like, "Hey, you got your hands full. All right. It seems like your plans are in order for Revolution, but in Australia, we're gonna put the riders in the ground." It's like, I'm glad. I appreciate the job. I've not left Jay White out of this thing, but call me when it's Jay White versus Moxley, because that's what I've been wanting for the past months. People are like, "Why is it down? Why is this cute? Why is the D Rider stale?" Because a no behind person came in the view, and it should have been Jay White versus Moxley. And you better give me the match. I'm gonna punch somebody in the face. But again, that's the end of Dynamite. Even though I don't like Adam Copeland versus Moxley for Revolution, this was a good go-home show to Grand Slam Australia, which is tonight. Your thoughts on the whole in the segment?
I thought it was okay. I mean, it seemed like Spike couldn't get the job done. The briefcase never really came open, which I thought was kind of odd. But beyond that,
one more swing.
That felt like a little bit of a dud there, a little bit of a flop. But at the same time, beyond that, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm not the biggest Adam Copeland fan either. So, him in this spot, it is what it is. It's okay. I mean, it's, I'm never going to be overly excited because I'm not the biggest Adam Copeland fan. And as much as I love Jon Moxley, unfortunately for me, Moxley versus Adam Copeland feels like 20 years ago or 15 years ago, 10 years ago, really. I mean, no disrespect to Jon Moxley, and just that match in particular with Adam Copeland feels like this is something that was done 15 years ago, or 10 years ago. So, that being said, it is what it is. And I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Jay White and Adam Copeland together. I don't like Jay White as a babyface. I just don't. I don't think that's where the money is for Jay White. I don't think that's where his sweet spot is. And honestly, it almost looks like he feels uncomfortable doing it. Kind of the same way Ricochet feels uncomfortable being a heel. It just doesn't feel like it fits. So, in that regard, I want my heel Jay White. Jay White versus Moxley would be definitely more exciting to me than Adam Copeland versus Moxley. At this point, and I love Moxley and the Death Riders. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine. Is it getting a little stale? Maybe. Is it getting a little boring? Potentially. My only issue with Jon Moxley at this point is just that I feel like, and I get it, it's who you are, and it's the persona, it's the character. It might even be who he is in real life. It probably is for all intents and purposes. But I feel like we've really had the same hyper intense Moxley for about 3 or 4 years now. And that, not that you need to reinvent yourself, but at some point it's like, calm down a little. Take a breath and just sit for me. Not everything has to be 1,000,000% where you're at the end of your rope all of the time. That uber stressed out, uber intense, uber violent, uber, it does get a little old after a while. And so I do start to worry that the Moxley character is starting to maybe drag a little bit just with his persona. But at the same time, he's still John Moxley and amazing. So I mean, you can't complain too much. But yeah, no, I mean, other than the fact that it's Adam Copeland, I don't have a problem with this. I think it should be fine. Copeland Moxley should be fine. Moxley will get the win again, and Adam Copeland will be another rung under his championship, belt, and that's fine. He needs big wins to be, the guy that he is, right? So, I mean, he's Moxley. He should be beating the best of the best that AEW can give him. So, and in theory, they think Adam Copeland's one of those. So I get it. We'll see what ends up happening after that. I don't know what the Death Riders look like after that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it's Jay White and Moxley. And I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, this Moxley's starting to run a little long in the tooth for me. I just feel like we need a little bit of a break. I don't need a Chris Jericho reinvention. I don't need the Ocho. I don't need, the demigod or any of that stuff. But just a little variety. I feel like he's been at like 1,000,000% for about 3 or 4 years now.
Understandable. All right. So what do you grade AEW Dynamite?
This becomes so hard. These grades are where really the rubber meets the road, right? Because I just don't know, like, the wrestling wise, it was a very solid show. Mm-hmm. As far as wrestling goes, it's probably had better wrestling than either Raw or NXT. The in-ring actual wrestling work that happens during the show. As AEW says, it's a place where wrestlers come to wrestle, and that's where wrestling happens, all that stuff. So in that regard, and me being a wrestling fan, it's always going to kind of get a little bit of a rub that way. At the same time, I've said before, been critical about AEW's production. I do think that both Raw and Raw and NXT feel bigger, feel more grandiose, feel like there's more going on. The main event with the Guns being in the main event left me in the main event match left me a little dry. Adam Copeland and Moxley is what it is. The briefcase not coming open in this final segment left me a little it should have definitely popped open after you hit it 3 times with that thing. But beyond that, I still think it was man. Well, I gave NXT a B+. I think this I don't want to tie, but I think it's basically a tie. I want to say it's like a B+ too. A-. I'm going to give it an A- because the wrestling was a little bit better. I think that NXT. No, you know what? Let me rephrase that. Let me think about this for a second. Go ahead. You go and let me think about this a little bit longer.
Okay, so I wasn't as down on it. So crazy enough, I wasn't as down on it as you were. I very much enjoyed the show. This is a very good go home show. Comparing it to, because right now, I think we both agree it's between NXT and AEW, right? I guess the question is, what was the segment that made the other one, the one show, beat the other one? I'm trying to go down the list. I'm gonna go with AEW. Because Hangman versus MJF. Yeah, I can say, even though you had a debut of Ricky Starks on NXT, Hangman versus MJF, and they're finally starting that feud off. It's worth them. It is that is where the money is this week. So for me, grade wise, it's a tie. Who won this week? I'm going to give it to AEW.
I'm confident with that. I feel roughly the same way. I mean, all things being considered, like I said, as an in-ring wrestling fan, the work fan, I'm always going to lean a little bit towards where I feel like that's better. And I feel like Dynamite was a little bit better than both shows in the in-ring work this week. So in that regard, but I'm willing to give it the same grade that I gave NXT, which is a B+, and just still give the edge to Dynamite a little bit. The only reason that I think it gets the edge is just because, like I said, it had actual more matches. NXT was a lot of talking and a lot of build-up, a lot of promos, a lot of packages, which is fine, but there wasn't as much wrestling as there normally was. And we didn't see Julia this week wrestle. We didn't see Stephanie wrestle this
Yeah.
week. So
Yeah.
Oba didn't wrestle this week. So I mean, we got Bailey, but it was versus Cora Jade, and then we got Ridge Holland in the main event. So yeah, no, Dynamite definitely takes it, but I think they both deserve a B plus. So I'll
They're
give
both good shows, but AEW wins this week.
All right, so AEW is our slight winner just by an edge this week. And after 4 hours of yakking at you, we'll get out of here really, really quick. We'll just run through this real fast. Join us on Tuesday nights live every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern for the cookout. Hold on for just 1 second. I'm trying to fix this real quick and I got sidetracked. Sorry.
Okay.
Trying to take that off the screen. Every Tuesday night, we are here for the cookout, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. We all come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. We're kind of in the middle of our season 1 Lucha Underground watch along. Although I do think this Tuesday, CM mentioned maybe having a game night. So the best way to make sure that you tune in for that is to hit the bell on the YouTube channel, that you'll get a notification before we go live, so that you can make sure and tune in and see what we have going on this Tuesday. But make sure and join us every Tuesday for the cookout. On Friday nights, we have Friday Night Fights, where it is Sammy, Joe, and Anika watching SmackDown, giving you their live reactions and opinions in real time, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern with the start of SmackDown. Then on Saturday mornings, which you're here with us now for, we have the Winner's Circle, where myself, Anika, and Sammy Joe, when he stays awake with us, review Raw, NXT, and Dynamite, give each show a grade, and then the show with the highest grade is declared our winner for that week. And this week it was AEW. They both got NXT and AEW got the same grades, but NXT, we determined AEW was just a hair better, even though they got the same grades. Saturday night is All Right, our Collision watch along, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we watch Collision in real time and give you our reactions and opinions to the shows that's happening. Tonight, there is Vengeance Day, NXT Vengeance Day, AEW Grand Slam / Collision Australia. Unfortunately, we won't be here for either tonight. As we always say, life be life in, and it is the way us normal people celebrate Valentine's Day. Us without a side piece celebrate Valentine's Day. Sundays, Enter the Square Circle. Hopefully March 1st, we will be back to that. That's the plan, I think, at the latest part right now, will be March 1st. So that's Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, where myself and Sammy Joe play some sort of video game. Usually it's WWE 2K, some iteration, but it's probably going to be Madden when we come back. So make sure and tune in for that. If you scan this QR code, the QR code will take you to Linktree, where you can find us on all of our social media in one place. As you see on the screen, we are everywhere that you see up there. So make sure and check us out, interact with us on all those social medias. We love to hear from you guys wherever you want to interact with us. Thank you to everyone joining us today on all the different platforms, whether you're on the Clock app or Twitch or on the YouTube channel. If you want to listen to the cookout, you can catch, that's not what I wanted to do, you can catch the audio version of the cookout on these platforms where you get your other regular podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast. So you can always just listen to the audio version of the cookout if you prefer that. And unless there's anything else, we will cut out the lights. And until next time, peace.